Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Predictions Podcast for 2024. So I am taping my opening and closing now for the third time because so much has happened. This episode is phenomenal. I'm just going to tell you that right off the bat. If you have been on the show before and I didn't reach out to you, or sent it to the wrong email or whatever, I truly apologize. I try to include everyone, but two things. This podcast takes 3 to 4 days to put together, and it's been a rough year. So as always, if I missed you and you've been on the podcast before and you want to be on the 6-month one, please just email me in July, in the month that's got a 5 on it. May. So I apologize to anyone. Please know that you weren't forgotten, but taking care of my mom, I still don't have very much bandwidth. So let's jump right in. Let's do it. I think that's all I had to say. Oh, also, we were trying to squeeze, Jessa was going to be on, and I don't know if I said that during one of the interviews, but we couldn't figure it out. We're doing it on an episode later. So I just thought I'd put that in case I said it while I was taping, because I do this in like 3 segments. Anyways, enjoy the podcast. My predictions at the end. All right, Shanna from Black Bits. How can I say it? Black Bits?
Black Bits, Black Boots. I'm a marketing nightmare.
And oops. So I'm sorry, everyone, if you heard that text come through. I'm doing this early in the morning after a late night show. Before we get started on you had quite a few hits from last year. You had volcanoes and everything. I think weren't we talking about that?
We were, yeah. The volcano thing kind of snuck up on me. I'm still paying attention to Iceland right now, but yeah, volcanoes in December.
All right. And you had a bunch of stuff you had created a dress that almost turned into art right away. There was so much. So I'm going to shut up and let you do your predictions. So here you go. Hit it.
Thank you, Karen. So my predictions for 2024 came in quite differently than they did last year. First, I've got these numbers that I just have to say out loud: 3, 11, and 56. I don't know what they mean. Do I need to play the lottery? Do the rest of us need to play the lottery? Maybe. Throwing that out there first because they came in pretty strong.
Interesting. Right? Okay.
And I guess I'm going to do some, Kat Von D. We're going random today. So Kat Von D has been doing some wacky shit. I don't know if anyone's been paying attention to what she's been doing, but I do feel like it's going to get even weirder. I don't know if she's starting a church /cult / who knows what she's doing, but let's just kind of pay attention to what this particular celebrity is doing, because I think there's more than just what's on the surface. I think the way it's bleeding out is interesting. So let's keep an eye on her.
And real quick, for people that don't know, she went from tattoos and I think metaphysical stuff into really like Christian, like over the top Christian. Is that correct?
Yeah. Over the top Christian, having it publicized, music. It's just completely wacky. So I don't know what's going on there, but I just want to keep paying attention to her because she popped in right away when I was.
Great tip. Great tip. Okay, go ahead.
2 places on the planet that I want to pay attention to, which I have no idea what is going on politically with them. Don't claim to. Blissfully ignorant. South Africa and France. South Africa in particular, the leader and what they're doing. Again, I don't follow it. I don't claim to know what's happening there, but that was just one hit. And also whatever France's involvement is in just kind of, all the wars that we have going on right now, like what's happening.
Right.
We want to also kind of pay attention to France. It just looks like a bit of a hot spot. So yeah, let's just kind of keep a look at those 2 countries.
Mm.
Yeah.
I already feel like France, I know you don't watch the news at all. France is already a leader in people's rights. So I'll just go throw that in there.
Oh, okay. All right. So that makes sense. Now we're going to move over to, I was like, all right, well, what am I looking at as far as like animals? The whales have come up again. I know that they keep kind of coming up in random places, especially with the folks that you work with, Karen, but something about like them, like specifically like beaching themselves to like show messages, to like give, I can't quite tell exactly what it is, if it's like the ocean temperature, but let's also see like where they end up, especially if it's somewhere like on the coastline, like above Oregon and Washington, like somewhere like Pacific Northwest.
I'm just going to tell everyone, watch that one right there, because I believe that you're spot on and something has already started, and it has to do with sonar in the Navy. You're spot on. Keep going.
Okay, so all right, then I'll go right there, because there's literal, when I was tapping in, there was literal, like, I could hear something different in the way that the earth is like presenting itself. So there's something with the sound, with the noise. And I almost wondered if it was like the trees are going to start kind of singing differently, just the noise and the vibration that's coming out of the earth itself. Notice like people noticing that nature sounding different. So there's something again with the sounds, with the literal vibration, with literal like sound changing. Yeah, again, I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out, but let's especially pay attention to, there's a big eclipse coming in April. So let's especially pay attention to that time of year.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. So I'm going to move on to allergies. Again, this is a random one this year. Allergies, like just looking like almost like there's a film over the earth. So paying attention, like air quality. I know that we've been dealing with a lot of that. That's not, you don't need a psychic to tell you that, but really like your allergies, the way you are breathing, that looks really important. So if there is breath work that that has been resonating with you, but is no longer resonating with you because it's like you literally can't do the same type of breath work, also just allowing yourself to kind of adapt in that way as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then I've got two more things. So channeling is the a big one that wrote in. And it's like channeling in the way, okay, so if you are a channeler, that's something that you already do. Being very specific about what you are channeling, who you are channeling, what entity you're channeling. Do you know that your channel is pure? Do you know that your channel is protected?
Thank you. Keep going. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Yes. Be very specific about who the hell you are channeling and what you are bringing into this planet, what information you're bringing in. And also paying attention to weird things like sitting down and having conversations at like the holiday dinner table, and like your aunt starts talking and like almost like your aunt starts channeling something and you're like, wait, what's going on here? That kind of stuff. It just looks weird. It just looks, the way they kind of showed it to me, it's like they're taking, like something's kind of like trying to take over a little bit. Trying to just get in there.
When you are done, I want to comment on that, but I want you to get in your 8 minutes because God, this is a good one, Shanna.
Yeah, and it's also with artists too. Artist channel. I'm an artist. That's one of the big things that I do. It's also artists. It's almost like, and the way that they showed me was like the artist has their control of their whole body, except whatever dominant hand they use to create their art, from like the elbow down, like almost like the way they showed it to me is like it turned red and something came in and started creating art in a different way, yeah, it was a little bit confusing. I don't know exactly what it was. I will say that there is some nefarious kind of things there too, but there's also possibility for something really great. So just really, if you make art, being very intentional about it, really paying attention to what your art is. And that brings me to the card that I pulled as the sort of overall arching 2024 is the Ace of Wands.
Mm.
So it's around creativity. It's around, it's that channel. It's that connection to higher self. It's what's coming in, but also being very specific about how you're bringing in information, and that it's coming from an open, relaxed, pure place, rather than you're pulling at something and that pulling energy, like almost like pulls in that thing that's maybe not
what you want.
Yeah, what you want, what we want.
Okay, first of all, you're the first one I've taped, and that was so resonates with me, everything. And I'm going to throw this in because what you're saying about channeling, I've always said this, I've always been very hesitant of this. And you, Shanna, I may actually expand on what you said. Credit to you for bringing it in when I do my thing at the end, because people do not understand the trickery, tricksters, whatever you want to call it, is huge right now. And if you're still, I know I'm going to get in trouble, but there's a particular spiritual person who is on the chopping block, and everyone's like, no, he couldn't have done it. And it's like, he is so bad and nobody can see it. And I just watch out for everything is about listening to your gut.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah. How does it feel in your body? Yeah.
Yes.
How does it feel? And not just being like, oh my God, I can channel, look at this, blah, 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 getting kind of caught up in the, holy shit, I'm doing it. But being like, but what is this? Bingo. What am I bringing in? Yeah.
Yes. All right. And where does everybody find you?
You find me at blackboots.com. I spell that without any vowels, BLCKBTS.com. And I'm open for readings virtually and in person if you're in the upstate New York area.
And I don't know if you're the first one out, but you're the first one I taped. So out of the gate, boom, nailing it. Okay, everybody. We'll be right back. Paul Jasek, who, if you are in the Los Angeles area, you have to go see him have a tour of the Queen Mary. And also, Paul, you look so handsome in that suit.
Oh, my goodness. Well, the theme for the year is decide, open your door in 2024.
You always have the best names. Okay, so say it again, because you always have. Okay, it's decide.
Decide, open your door in 2024.
Excellent. All right. What do you?
Because the theme for me has been in a John Denver song, return to a place he's never been before. I'm back in an area at a job 40 years later, but I've changed. And what has changed with that is I bring my history, which brings us to the predictions this next year. And it doesn't take a psychic to know we're at a very critical time. That's why the theme is decide, because the time in the mess around room's up, children. The time on the planet's very late. So,
do you remember Let Go or Be Dragged? And then the next year you were like,
yeah, exactly.
We got dragged. And I was like, it was so funny.
Didn't we? Yeah. 2023 kicked butt, but it for me, I mean, some snowy night by the fire, we'll go over 2023, but it was the worst and the best. I've never been more convinced of a loving energy for this planet, because I walked away from death, destruction, pestilence, and plague a better man. So
I'm waiting for this change for me. I just got the bad stuff. No, go ahead.
Well, baby, it was tough for you this year. There was and I sent tons and tons of love. I lit a candle for 7 days when I heard about your folks. Anyway,
thanks.
The firm with boundaries. Here's the deal. People are so busy living their life, they haven't planned one. Mm-hmm. This is the time to sit down with your crayons, children, and let's color out what we're going to be doing. Be firm with the boundaries, but easy with yourself. People have been doing that in the reverse. They beat themselves up, they scream and yell, and they look around why things haven't changed. Well, the universe always says yes to you, even to your own self-destruction. So what are we doing here?
Nice.
So decide. So decide. Number 7 is going to be now next year is the number 8 for 2024, but 7 is going to be so important for people. It's the number of completion, which is different than quitting. Let's complete some of the stuff that we need to do so you can pack it away, and that's been finished. We've hit completion. These next two predictions are uncomfortable. We're going to see a rise in active shooters.
Yeah.
And I hate that but the tension that everybody's in, there comes a breaking point. There's so much fear and anger and hate, and it is overwhelming. But as
you know what, I'm gonna piggyback on that really quick.
Sure.
I part of my predictions was look at the cops. The cops are going to be everywhere, and also
everywhere.
The January 12th, everyone. I interviewed someone from MK Ultra. I think most of those people are MK Ultra, and I of course think the government wants this chaos. So I think you're absolutely right. They're going to activate these shooters left and right.
You bet. Within that, that's why somebody chose me up about, what's your position on the Middle East? And I said, you know what? I don't know that I have one. And the reason being, it's just all awful.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and it's too, I was a cheerleader. I'm not terribly complicated. So, but what I do pray for everyone is peace, and peace in our own homes. So we can, that I can handle. My prayer for peace every evening. Am I peaceful myself? That will then radiate around me. And then also, I see an earthquake for the West Coast. I don't see it in California, oddly enough. I see it further up in the Northwest, like Oregon, Washington, and Alaska.
That, Paul, you can get in trouble for wishing for peace. You can get in trouble if you put that on Instagram. Someone will yell, pick a side. This isn't the time for peace. And I thought, oh my God.
No, this was a student of mine, and she was firm about it. Now, I have a dear friend of mine that lives in Tel Aviv, and we Zoom often. And the horror, it's just awful all over.
Yeah, nobody's winning.
But I watched a woman, slap her son around at the bus stop, and I thought, everybody is right on the edge. I must practice peace in myself.
Great lesson. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going, my friend.
The other thing is within this decide, open your door. How many times have we been working with somebody else's good idea for it? So this is where we go, nope. This is what I want. I really do want to be a basket weaver. Well, then get in there. Your time in the mess around room is over. Drop that, high corporate job that is making you drink and take a lot of medication just so you can get through, so you can make some money. No, the best thing I ever did was move to the beach. I wander along the beach. I look at that big old ship over there, and I'm back at the ghosts recognize me. They wonder why I'm so old, but I'm like, wait. Didn't he have blonde hair? Wait, didn't he have hair? But I'm happy as if I had good sense.
Excellent. Okay, what else?
Well, as we move through this, within that opening your door, finding out what you want to do. It's not selfish. Take care of your own sweet self first so you have some of that energy available. People are so tapped out energetically. Yeah. Now, it doesn't take a psychic to tell you need to take care of yourself. But with the shifting astrological energy that we're going to be faced with, you know what? It might be the best thing to do is take a nap, because you need to recharge. People are pumping a lot of energy out into the world, but they're not. That's why we're seeing also a rise in illness. People simply don't have enough energy to repair their bodies.
Yes, I agree with that totally.
You bet. And on paper, I should have been dead 50 years ago. And yet I'm scampering around the ship like I was 22, because when I walk on board, I am. And I just passed my 65th birthday in July, and I'm looking at this next session. Most people are getting ready to play golf and do insure shooters, and that's not my story.
Awesome. Okay, we're right at 7.
All right. I've just had the best time. I look forward to this. And doesn't it seem like we just did this 2 months ago, Karen? The time is going so quickly.
Something else about when you're talking about people not having enough energy. There's another element to that, which is I have so many clients that have vertigo, and I can't remember. I wish I could find this person on TikTok, but she explained it perfectly. She said the consciousness is outgrowing the body, and that's why everyone's getting vertigo.
Well, and they can't connect to their first chakra. So they're not anchored. So everyone is living from their shoulders up. So that's why they're top heavy.
And that's why we're all falling over.
Exactly.
Paul, this is awesome. Tell them where they can book a reading or where they can see you give a tour or whatever.
Well, come join me at the Queen Mary. We would love to have you. She's looking marvelous as she sails into her 89th year. She's been here 56 years in Long Beach, 25 years longer than she sailed. If you need a reading with me or want a reading with me, I would love to. You can find me through my Facebook page. DM me there. I'm working on my website. Or just, that's the best way to find me currently. And then I will have a website up. But you are a joy. I miss you. One day we'll both sit down with coffee and just talk all the words.
We will. And folks, that last name is spelled Jacek. So if you're looking for him, his last name is Jacek, Paul Jacek. All right. Thank you, Paul.
Indeed. Take care, my dear.
MedicallySpeaking.com is a prophetic shop that focuses on your inner alchemical transmutation. And I needed an alchemical transmutation to say alchemical transmutation. See, Toria, you did it. When you're looking for activations to change your aura, wisdom and insight to heal your past, and alchemy to live your highest vibrancy, you will most certainly enjoy the array of offerings you will find at hermeticallyspeaking.com. Created through the teaching of the Hermetics, Toria, who's been on my podcast many times, provides personalized guidance that caters a feast specifically from the higher realms to you. You'll leave each session feeling empowered and loved, having gained ancient knowledge for your soul's nourishment and growth. Believe me, I know. I've worked with Toria and she is terrific. Everything you need is within you. So come remember, activate, and expand your knowing at hermeticallyspeaking.com. Terry Huberman at terryhuberman.com. That's where you're going to go if you want to hear about Terry's stuff. All right, Terry, I got the timer right in front of me. 8 minutes. Go. What do you got for us?
Oh my God, this is a race. Okay, so here's what I got for 2024, and I got to tell you that it really feels like a. Is it okay if I cuss? I don't know.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Okay, because it feels like a fucked up year.
Thank you. Okay, I thought this was going to be a mixed bag, but everybody is okay. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So at least we're all in alignment so far. Yeah. And what makes it fucked up is just the amount of awesomeness and the amount of like horror all at the same time. And it's like, give the human nervous system a chance to settle, man. All right. So here's what I've got. The two highlights, it's interesting. The two highlights that are really going to come through in 2024 are going to be around animals and around medical breakthroughs. So what do I mean by all of this? All right. So with animals, they're going to be highlighted in terms of, and again, this has to do with the media, is that we're going to hear more stories or we're going to see more visuals or whatever of like people recklessly hunting animals.
Oh.
And even like more animal attacks. So it's almost like the animals are starting to awaken themselves.
Love this.
Right?
And you're right on target with the last person. Go ahead.
Oh, how funny. Okay, I like the last person. So what we're also going to see though is animals being like carriers of more sicknesses. So it's kind of like, you know, there's an evolution in the animal kingdom as well, and I think that's what's happening. So we're also going to see more laws in effect with animals. So I know that that's pretty general, but for some reason they're really popping up on my radar, and and I'm an animal lover, so it doesn't feel good. And I don't want to be that doom and gloomer, but it just doesn't feel good.
Two things. Don't worry about that. Everybody's like, I don't need to be doom and gloom. Don't worry. Everybody knows this is what to expect. It's not in law.
That's
and that's
true.
very specific. Yeah. My podcast, we go dark. We go dark over
Yeah,
here.
I know. Well, I'm not usually a dark person. Okay. So, another positive thing that is going to happen is like there's going to be really big breakthrough treatments in medical care this year. It's interesting. I'm getting US and I'm getting Israel. So I feel like in terms of like Israel is going to be coming out with some sort of like cure or medication that's going to control some sort of disease, whether it's cancer, diabetes, I don't know what it is. And so that's actually going to help the PR for Israel, but something big and wonderful and awesome and amazing is going to be coming out of Israel. There's also something that's US based that I can't quite put my finger on. But that's going to be really great too. So big, wonderful medical breakthroughs that aren't going to be necessarily controversial, like, you know, the COVID medications. Like, it's like, oh, it's not going to be like a political kind of thing. It's like a genuine life-saving kind of thing, which is
good.
cool.
And let's hope the pharmaceutical companies let us have it.
Yeah, exactly. But it feels positive. So, and I'm going to kind of piggyback along something else is that this is also going to be a year of miracles for people.
Oh.
So there's going to be like, and it's a lot of personal experiences. So things like, oh, you know, people survive like the most horrid accidents or something, but they're okay and they escape unscathed or something along those lines. Miraculous events that are kind of shown individually where people start to kind of believe more in a higher power. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean religious power, right? It's just they start to feel like, okay, they're not alone, and maybe something it has their back. So that's a pretty awesome thing. Another awesome thing is I really feel like the little guy. So like, for example, mom and pops stores or stuff like that, they're going to be doing well financially.
Good.
And the reason is because they're not following the rules. So what I mean by that is maybe they're not using traditional marketing or they're not using traditional advertising. They're doing what they want, what they think feels good for them. So again, there's that sense of sovereignty. Like we do better when we don't go with the masses. So there's that. Let's see what else is. It's going to be interesting because I think also celebrities are going to cocoon themselves. I don't know which ones. I don't know how many, but it's going to seem as if they drop off the face of the earth. And it's really because they're going through their own evolution. So that sounded like, is that my 7?
I actually think, I think that's a good thing. And I think people are a little sick of them right now. So that goes hand in hand.
Yeah. That is really good. Also, you know, less and less people are going to be watching the news and the media.
Yay.
They're really seeing, it's like it's getting so obvious. And along with that obviousity, is that a word?
It is now.
It is now. You're also going to see people that go to the complete total opposite end and the extreme where like they believe there's no more middle ground. It's either or now, which is both good and bad. And along those lines, we're going to see people in terms of politics. We're going to start seeing, and we've started to see this evolution, but it's just going to get so strong and people just being a lot more verbal about it, like switching sides, like what is it, 180s or 360s? I don't know. But like someone who might have been liberal before, they're going to be totally Republican now because it's like gotten that ridiculous.
Yeah, or political orphans. That's my favorite word Kira made up. Political orphans.
Oh, political orphans. Boy, does that resonate. Oh my God. That was very visceral reaction that I got there. And I mean, just the political polarization just continues. I cannot for the life of me, when I tap into politics, I can't get there. So, which is okay because politics really makes me mad.
I get it.
So I think, you know, that's the divine protecting me, so that I can use my energy in a different way. But I cannot for the life of me make any predictions when it comes to politics, which is okay. I'm going to leave that to the professionals who can do that, or who can tap into that. So.
Yes, and we're right at 7. So
perfect. I'm done.
Right. So I have to say, first of all, politically, I still don't think the country has decided what it wants. So
True.
that timeline is available.
Yeah.
But anyway, also, I just want to say this about the animals.
Yeah.
You were you were going right in the same direction of the person of Shanna, who was the first one I taped with. And, I thought she said something about whales, but a lot of people did not see this story, but a lot of whales were killing themselves because of sonar. They would rather, because the sonar was so loud under the water. And when you were talking about animals, I think this sounds crazy, but we're all at Paranormal Karen. The animals are going to start defending the earth.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds awesome. Like, come on, man. Yep. It's like there is an evolution with animals, and they are, it's like, why should they not defend their home? Right.
Yes.
So, and I love the fact that for this particular example, it was in the ocean, because the ocean is so heavily ignored, and there's so much that we don't know about the ocean. So it's like, go whales, go.
I love it. And you know what else? There's a very strange, I don't know if this is just because video is out, but there is like a humanization of some animals. You see some animals becoming domestic that weren't. Yeah. And I know if you take a fox from when it's a baby, you can domesticate it. Sure. But I feel like there's you're so spot on. And that was very optimistic, Terry.
Oh, good.
Yeah, don't worry about that. You're and it's great, but I do think they're evolving, becoming closer to us, and they are. Yeah. I think them and Mother Earth are done. I think they're over it.
Good.
So good. Yeah, let's do it. Yep. All right, where can everybody find you? Tell them your next project or whatever's happening.
Sure. Well, I do one-on-one mentoring and coaching to help those spiritual empaths who have anxiety get control of their life. If you want to know more about that, I have a program called Soul Intelligence. You can go to my website, terryhuberman.com, click on that, read up all about it. If it resonates, let's set up an appointment and see if I can't help you out. Thanks, Karen. This was awesome.
Thank you, Terry. Hey, I didn't talk to Noah Lambert for like the longest time, and now I need him on the podcast every month. Noah, welcome to the Predictions Podcast. I'm just going to say go. What do you got for us?
All right. So I was super excited when you told me about this idea, by the way. I love it. And especially since I've been talking about 2024 for the past 6 months or so. I feel like I've been talking about 2024 since the beginning of 2023, just because it's like I was ready for 2023 to be over almost immediately. So 2024, I mean, my personal intuition and vibe and feeling about it is that it is going to be actually a pretty light year.
Good.
I feel that we got through a lot of heaviness in 2023. At least a lot of people did. I know I did personally. And I just have this weird feeling that it's going to be kind of this like playful, more harmonious, more fun type of year. I can't guarantee it, but I'm as close to a guarantee as you can get on that. And I usually have like a pretty good feelings about these things. Part of it is just the logic where, you can't go much down from 2023. I think there's some aspect of that, but I just feel like intuitively, just like energetically, there is something like light. It's just in all the downloads I've been getting are related to that. I think part of the reason that so many of us experienced 2023 is kind of difficult is it was a huge kind of transitional and maturation period. And like one of the annoying things of like becoming more mature is like you have to actually like learn things and go through things that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise to get to that level of awareness. And I think we get a little bit of like rest and kind of appreciation for the things that we've gone through. And it's just a little more kind of like savoring the energy that we're in. I also think that just like the culmination, not the culmination, but like a lot of things that have been kind of bubbling are beginning to like come to the surface in 2024, whether that's like we're looking at like the technological landscape with things like AI. It's not like AI is going to be finished in 2024, but these things that were completely brand new and just like popped up out of nowhere seemingly last year or this year still, I think are just going to be a little more fleshed out. and like usable by people. And I think we'll see some of the implementations of those type of kind of like tools and things that are available just become a lot more clear. And then in the same sense, like energetically, I think a lot of people like onboarded psychic skills in 2023. And what that feels like individually and collectively is like, you know, with increased awareness, we think of it as like, it's just going to be like all sunshine and roses, and it's going to be, oh, amazing. I'm just more aware and aware of all the beautiful stuff. But you also become more aware of everything, which also includes like shadow stuff, things like that. And, you know, at first, again, that is like somewhat unsettling because it's like not theoretically what you were going to be signing up for. But it is like actually a good thing, right? With more awareness, you can actually start to like heal areas of yourself and just your life and your being that maybe you weren't aware were even hurting. So after like,
I'm all done healing. No more lessons. I'm done with the lessons.
And I think the thing is like, I was joking about that. I posted on Instagram too, like a couple of things about 2024 related to 2023 and just kind of like, wait, I'll take the, you know, blessed and favored package in 2024 instead of the trials and tribulations package of 2023. Like, and I think like there's still going to be a lot of like integration and healing. I just think it will feel, it's more of like the spa type of healing as opposed to, you know, going through like the muck and like feeling kind of the difficult, you know, painful type of stuff. So I don't know. I mean, it's just my general sense that it is kind of like a restful, restorative, more light year is the best. That's the, when I keep thinking about it, that's what I hear like in my head more than anything else. Like it's going to be light. It's going to be,
I hope you're right, because I do know like 2023 for me, well, we're still in it and this is coming out on the 28th. Still really like, I still can't, it's so heavy. It's better than the year before, but I think like the way you're talking awareness, like when I was like, holy crap, what happened to my life? I had to move. And now I'm like, okay, it'll just got to wait it out. So it's a little calmer. To me, it doesn't feel better, but it feels calmer. Maybe that's kind of what I think.
Yeah, I think that makes like a lot of sense. Like calm is definitely something that comes to mind too. And it's like, again, I think like we're just fundamentally going through like very transitionally, like the card of tarot that comes to mind is like big time Six of Swords, right? So like, you know, like we are moving from one place to another. And with that, yes, sometimes it's smooth sailing, but sometimes it's like rough and you kind of have to leave things behind. And so, you know, I just kind of wonder like how much more it's even like sustainable to like actually go through this for people. That's going to be like incredibly difficult. Like it's not that like people can always unfortunately seemingly take more punishment, but like I just don't think that functionally is kind of what's going on. So I don't know. I do think ultimately like 2024, calm is definitely the right word. I definitely think like, you know, again, lightness is the term that comes to me, just like more ease. And it's like, I don't want to give the impression that it's just going to be like a straight utopian up arrow in terms of positivity. But I felt like this even before this year. It's going to be pretty cool. I also know like, you know, there's a cool eclipse coming up in the area in upstate New York later in 2024, which is like a very big one. I think it's a full solar eclipse, which is very rare for this area. And just like there's some auspicious things that are kind of like on the horizon. And we also had some like big astrological shifts coming out of 2023. Like, so it's just, I think there's just a lot of things that like qualitatively we're going to feel a difference in energy. And I think a lot of people will experience that as a little bit more chill, right? A little bit more chill.
Yeah. And we're right at 7. I feel like, so 2023 was a numerological 7 and 2024 is a numerological 8, which I feel like has to be better. Like right? Like 7s, well, they're just heavy.
Seven also, like, right, if you're dealing with numerological seven, you're dealing with themes of mastery. And like, again, when we think of themes of mastery, we think of like, oh, I'm a master, everything's easy and amazing. It's like, no, you're actually going to get like that put to the test. Like, you're going to actually have to prove that you have like either developed these skills or kind of qualities, whether they're psychic or otherwise, and utilize them not just in like the fun, easy times, but like, can you use them in the chaotic and challenging times? And I think that this year was really like a lot of that. And next year, it's kind of like, okay, got through that, seeing what's happened, but now let's kind of explore other ways we can use this stuff.
Awesome. All right, a little more. I like that very much, Noah. All right, tell everyone where they can find you, what your services, whatever. You give yourself a promo.
Sure. You can find me on the Synchronicity podcast. I have a Patreon that has been quite active. We got a nice community going on there. And yeah, I'm doing, regular readings that are available for people, energy readings, the regular old woo stuff that, all of us tend to offer, the fun stuff. But yeah, that's what I got going on.
Awesome. That is fantastic. Check it out, folks. Hey, everybody, how's that spiritual awakening going? I know. Don't worry, help is here. HighlySpiritualPerson.com is a haven for spiritual misfits and empaths navigating spirituality and mental health. My friend Camille has a plethora of resources on her site to help you on your spiritual journey, even if you're just starting out. It includes individual and collective Reiki sessions, personalized guided meditations, sleep affirmation tracks, and so much more. Camille has so much to offer. She's going to be on my podcast in December. I can't wait to talk to her. Her blog posts and podcast episodes explore spirituality and are great for folks carving out their own path. She has written 2 easy-to-follow guidebooks, one on breathwork, and the newest book is called Manifestation is Easy, and it features 22 step-by-step manifestation techniques, as well as tips and advice on how to overcome the most common blocks and start changing your reality. Go to highlyspiritualperson.com. I promise you, you will get lost in how much information is in there. It's one of my favorite rabbit holes. I know you have a ton of stuff, so Shay, hit us with your predictions.
Yes, okay. Well, I was just wondering if just before you start that timer, is there a quick second for me to intro what I'm going to share today, just for context?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. So listeners may or may not know, in my one-on-one sessions, I do a lot of mind, body, spirit reprogramming, rebalancing, psychic surgery. Mm-hmm. But what almost no one knows is when I do this, it's with the help of a very cosmic healing energy collective of beings. So I thought it would be fun to ask this cosmic stream I work with, and I've worked with for some time, to finally give me a name I can call them and to ask them for their predictions for everybody. Oh. So what they showed me was, they showed me sparks of light, or SOL, soul, for short. So these predictions will be from a 5th and 6th density healing collective known as Soul.
I love it. Okay. It's funny, earlier we had be careful who you channel, but I know you and I know you know what you're doing. So we kind of, you do, like, I know the other people that just started channeling we're a little nervous with, but I know you know what you're doing. So go ahead.
Yeah, these guys are good. They're pure.
All right. Tell us what you got, Soul. Hit it.
Okay. Yeah. So they say, greetings. We are Soul, and we thank you for this moment in your time and space to be heard and to provide you with our projections of energies on your current timeline or energetic alignment to this and the many infinite potentials. We hope you will allow the space for any and all of this that we share to be this or that or nothing at all, based solely on your own dazzling and unique journey and experience. January will be a very great moment of intercellular healing and expansion within this collective of beautiful light rays. Many in this collective are aware of the frequency and intensity of the codes, downloads, wisdom, and upgrades received by their vessel during the months of November and December through the solar and cosmic rays, which were slated to be received during this time. Many have experienced awakenings of their vital life force, Kundalini, resulting in difficult and dark periods of what may have felt like testing and initiation through the emotional and mental bodies. Due to the ending of this part of the cycle and the movement into the solidifying of these initiations into seeds planted in the physical reality, we see a vast amount of integration through all layers of the physical vessel down to the bones and deeper. This may result in an amount of bodily discomfort for each being, sudden intense aches and pains through the skull, face, neck, spine, and feet, as well as sharp pains or perceived twists in the internal systems. Each individual is urged to take due care of their vessel during this time, to drink an increased amount of water, electrolytes, and to consider imbibing only sun-touched foods when possible, avoiding alcohol or substances. Pamper the self and feel no self-judgment in taking time away in stillness or comfort whenever possible through this month. Take baths and call on the Divine Mother healing streams. The middle of the month from the 13th to the 21st may be an especially dense period of healing. We do not recommend mental or spiritual body healing during this time, as so much of the body and subtle body energies will be directed towards these much needed transformations. February will be a time of great light and lightness coming in, which can feel very magical and renewing to this collective, but may also push some into periods of spiritual darkness. When a being is to invite in light, they also shine this light upon deeper shadows, which will require an amount of conscious awareness to allow the darkness to feel seen and to invite back and welcome back those aspects of or layers of self which have been awaiting the retrieval process from within the darkness. It is advisable during this time to seek spiritual guidance in the ways of healing or energy work to assist with the processing and welcoming home of these layers of self, or to intend moments of internal focus on the self if one wishes instead to traverse the shadows alone. During the second week of the month and the last week of the month, each being should set time or intention aside to honor these often inner-child versions of self, and it would be helpful to create tributes in the way of altars, offerings of creations such as art, song, dance, and to hold celebrations of life ceremonies, giving the opportunity to grieve, as well as welcoming back these aspects of love and divinity. March will be a month of extremes. Like the lion to the lamb, the beings within this collective are likely to experience moments of embodiment of the extremes of resonant bands of frequencies during this time. We know this may cause some to doubt themselves and their path, mere days after feeling as though the warm sun lay upon their faces on the mountaintop of their success. We urge each individual to think of this time like great waves on your oceans, taking you to very low lows, then propelling you to very high highs. And so not to discourage in the moments of a valley and not to push the self too far or make any rash decisions atop the hill. The more each being can learn to appreciate this flux of the specific energetic expression within their unique cycles paired with the larger cycles of the planet and the cosmos, the more they will find peace and balance and a gentle moderation of each. The mental body will be receiving these fluctuations in energy, and the ego will wish to internalize as all or nothing, as superconfidence or quaking vulnerability. These are often the moments of feeling most tested, or one might say off their rocker, as the conscious experience of these swings has been taught to them to be in balance. We wish for this collective to utilize the diamond white light of the soul collective in these times and to concentrate it deeply into these thoughts, fears, or anxieties of losing the mind, and to hear from us in these times, you will be okay. This and all things are temporary. You are a beautiful, valuable, and worthy emanation of pure light and love within all that is, and you are loved, protected, and held in this moment, and in all moments you are not broken. We encourage you to utilize the energies of the extremes within the elements of hot and cold or fire and ice during these times. April will be a time of cleansing and baptism within the light of the angelic rays smiling down upon the planet. Each being within the collective and throughout the planet will be given an energetic opportunity of renewed sight within the heavenly rays of the sacred triune. Each being is meant to receive ample blessings at this time, which have been culminating and feeding into the physical for many months and mentioned for January. At this time, a great number of blessings shall rain down upon those who have been devout in their spiritual service of honoring the self, the healing of the self, and the physical vessel, and all layers of the subtle self. They will be welcomed anew into the church of earth and nature as a raw and newborn babe in need of love and nurturing and care. The energies of Gaia, the Divine Mother archetype, and the Ascended Mothers will be closely present, and it's recommended to work with each or any throughout this time. This is a moment to open the self fully to receiving and to do away with any outdated beliefs which would be seen as limiting the infinite flow of abundance, opportunity, nurturing, support, care, and fertile creative mothering energy the earth and the cosmos wish always to provide. We encourage this collective to remind themselves daily that abundance in all forms is their birthright, that it exists infinitely and unconditionally for each. We would further suggest to honor the mother archetypes during this time. May will be a time for great speed, fertility, and prolific creativity within this beautiful collective. Following the streaming through and honoring of Divine Mother energies in the previous month, there will be an energy of birthing and creations long budding set to occur. There are many within this collective who have been admirably pressing on with creative projects and passions through the depths of their journey of self in the year so far. They will have had to stop and start a good number of times through the first month of the year, and they may be becoming frustrated, overwhelmed, or nearly give up in these moments. However, now is a fruitful and auspicious energy for these ventures to spring forth in ways they had not before into the realms of form. Some will publish works or share new forms of art, hold preliminary meetings or gatherings for which will welcome great collectives or communities, or launch conscious business which will join together their passions for material attainment with their healing and spiritual pursuits. This blossoming will show each sides of themselves long suppressed, will bolster empowerment, and the knowing of deep truths and desires of the soul within both the masculine and feminine principles. This will be a great time of coming together or union for those in this physical, or a tightening of the bonds of those who have already met and entered union. Many of the beings within this collective will feel seen and known through the mirrored soul of another in a new way, and from this will find opportunities to learn, grow, and heal alongside another after long periods, wondering if it must always be done alone. It will be a good time both of great coming together and great bursting apart. The heart expansion and evolution this will bring to individuals, and the overall frequency of your planet will be the first of its kind, and great waves will be made by the love and expressions of love that are birthed, shared, and honored here. June will be a time of great celebration for this most vibrant collective of beings, as well as the planet at large. The sun and energies of the Father will bathe the planet in the energy of great change and inspiration to move forward from outdated structures and patterns in healed ways. Many in this collective will feel the call of their ancestors, ascended masters, and prominent streams from within the masculine frequencies of self to engage further in communion with these layers of self and to draw from them inspiration for action healing within the past and current lives' familial structures. There will be widespread moments of generational healing and releasing of collective karmic patterns no longer befitting the alignment of the masculine expression on your planet. We encourage all to seek conscious community at this time to support the healing expression of the masculine and to emanate gratitude and unconditional love for those they would see as masculine expressions in all forms. It would be beautiful and helpful to provide offerings and prayers to those energies which feel most resonant to each being's unique and dazzling stream. We would suggest an altar to remain up for the fullness of the month and to call upon a new stream in alignment with the sun day of each of your weeks, giving pause as a gift to the self in these days to honor the masculine expression within and without. This will also be a wonderful time to respond to the energies of forward motion and to move with your tides to the projects or beginnings that feel inspirational and light the passionate flame of your fire within. You start things or run with things. Do not worry so much whether you will bring things to the completion you envision. There will be time enough to whittle down the list of projects or to feel out which collective streams of inspiration are for you to complete or for you to pass lovingly along to the next being.
There, you did it. You made it all the way to June, and then we do the second half of the year. Really quickly, when they were talking about the ailments, this is something we talked about. Is that about us just outgrowing our bodies?
Well, I really think that we deal with things first kind of on the spiritual or the etherics, and they come through our mental bodies, and we have kind of those moments that they were talking about in one of the other months of doubting ourselves and all of that. And then when all of those energies that we've been working so hard with our healing come all the way through to the physical, they're really like changing our DNA cellular structure. Like everything is expanding, evolving, changing. And so that is painful to our physical vessel. And so they're saying that's going to be happening and it's going to be tough, but you can get through it, drink water, give yourself time and space and rest, and don't judge yourself during that time.
Wow. I think I already went through it. Shay, that was fantastic. Tell everyone where they can find you, and can they read all this? Do you have a blog or something where all this is posted?
No. Yeah. So I know that was really intense. Lots of information. So I'm going to be unpacking all of this month by month to put it in more like everyday terms for people. If your listeners want to check that out and other card readings and channelings I do, they can find me on TikTok as Shay_Sevens, SHAY_SEVENS, and my website and everything that they need is linked there.
Okay, awesome. All right, Shay_7. All right. Thank you, my friend. Have a happy new year. And that was great.
Thank you so much, Karen. It was such an honor to be back. You have a great day.
You too. Renee Watts. Renee is back. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. It's so good to hear from you. How are you doing?
I am. Oh, I know you and I, you know what? I wonder if our signs, like you slept through this and then I gave you the wrong time and I was like, oh my God, we made it. And then I thought, does this happen with you and I all the time? I think we have some weird time karma.
We might. I'm also feeling like Neptune just like stationed direct, and Neptune's like the planet of sleepy, dreamy, like illusion, drugs. So it's sort of like we're feeling low energy. I know this is going to air, later, but
yeah, it'll be out the 28th. So that's good. And it's so funny. I just paused and then we hung up by mistake and so I guess the universe is telling us we have maybe in another life, you and I were late all the time or something. But anyways, all right, my friend, tell us what you got for 2024.
Yeah. Okay. So I talked about Pluto last time, but Pluto's doing a lot, and it's been doing a lot since March of 2023. So Pluto is just coming out of a, 15-year journey through Capricorn. It's still in Capricorn right now, but it moves into Aquarius, which is the sign of revolution, on January 20th, where it'll stay for a little bit. There's one more retrograde before we get the full Pluto in Aquarius sort of effect. But, when we talk about the age of Aquarius, this is as close as we get, Pluto entering Aquarius. And what we're going to see from that, and what I'll just say first and foremost, is on a personal level, everyone should be updating their cybersecurity, updating passwords, putting on two-step like authorization and authentic whatever.
Got it. Yes. And especially with your credit cards and debit cards too.
Oh yeah, if you can lock up your credit, which you can do in like the 3 different credit scoring agencies, lock your credit. You can, if you need to make a big purchase or get a loan, you can unlock it.
I've had my credit locked for like 10 or 15 years. It's the best thing you could do. But anyway, it's a great prediction, great thing. Okay.
Yeah, so Pluto's the planet of destruction, right? So it's going into this sign that totally rules technology, and it rules community, and it rules politics and revolution. So we're going to just see a lot of weird changes. I do think that some good will come out of it. I think we're going to see some new platforms, some new social media platforms come through, if not this spring, but next year as a result of this shift, because the tech industry has really politicized social media and made it very corporate. Whereas when it first came out, it was just very much this place where we could all connect with each other, and maybe there were a few ads. But now we're seeing on Instagram, especially, a lot of small businesses who built up their companies in social media arenas are now having their engagement dramatically lowered. A lot of influencers, spiritual influencers, are having their engagement go way down, and it's seeming like these platforms are becoming more about making money.
Yeah.
And I think that there's going to that's going to be identified, and there's going to be sort of like a punk rock digital revolution where we can finally like get back to this place where we're all connecting and it's not necessarily corporate driven.
Right. I love that.
Yes. I do think too, what we might start to hear a little bit more of is just people vocalizing more in third party, like political parties, like the Green Party, libertarians, things like that. Mm-hmm. I think we'll be hearing more from them. I don't know that we're going to see a change this election season, because we're kind of going into election season when Pluto goes back into Capricorn, which is very much this authoritative, traditional sign. So conversations that we're going to be having are going to give us a glimpse into what's going to happen throughout the next 20 years. But I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we're going to see big change during this election. I think it's coming. I just don't think it's going to be this year.
Okay.
And not to be a bummer, I will say that like things that can be really helpful on a personal level is to find local community, move away from screens a little bit, find ways to have face-to-face interactions with people. And then what I would say is, if you have any sort of new venture or something that you're wanting to kick off, the Aries eclipse on April 8th is going to be a really great time for that, because eclipses sort of signify the changing of fate and life-altering shifts that come. So if you know where Aries is in your chart, which house is ruled by Aries, that's even better for you astrology people, because it'll tell you where to focus. But any sort of new venture that you're thinking of getting out, try to do during the Aries eclipse on April 8th, or at least sometime shortly after that. The problem is Mercury is going to be retrograde during that eclipse. So Mercury retrograde can be a difficult, it can mess up all your plans. Wow. So if you're not ready to like push something out into the world, pay attention to where your ideas are leading you on April 8th. And then consider making moves on April 25th when Mercury stations direct.
Perfect.
But there's gonna be a lot of Aries energy. So fresh starts are gonna be inevitable, and it's just sort of like, where can you control these changes?
Yeah, my Aries is in the moon.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna have an emotional. My moon is in Aries as well, and so you might not feel like you're emotional, but you might have to deal with all of the emotional people.
Okay, it'll probably be me.
So then we have the other eclipse that's happening in the first half of the year is we're going to be having a Libra lunar eclipse on March 25th. I'm going back in time a little bit here. And that's just going to be where we're going to see more breakups. And I wouldn't, if you've been fighting for a relationship throughout the last year and a half, and these problems arise again on March 25th or around that time, it's like, this is your last chance to repair it, basically. And you may want to ask yourself why you're fighting for something that is continuously causing problems. So, where can you, lean into independence a little bit more? And then one thing that I'm super excited about, I always like to look at where Jupiter is and where Jupiter is moving. So Jupiter is the planet of luck and expansion. It makes everything better. It makes everything grow. It offers prosperity. It's where we can sort of like have a little luck and faith work for us. And it moves into Gemini, which is the sign of communication and sort of intellectual pursuits, on May 25th. And it will be there until October 18th of 2025. So a lot of people are going to get really loud and kind of have to figure out how you set yourself apart from everyone else and what makes your voice unique. And the best way to figure that out is going to be through educating yourself, because, no matter what your interests are, no matter where you're trying to make a mark, it's always going to suit you to continuously study and to continuously educate yourself. And in this instance, it can make the difference between you getting a promotion or having a breakthrough or anything like that, because the universe is going to be rewarding people who are actively choosing to feed their minds and who are brave enough to speak up. So our voices, and using our voices in a way that is smart, is going to be where all the good stuff comes from. But we're also going to see a lot of idiots and a lot of morons, because it's just, it's like, it's going to make everyone loud. So we're just going to have to deal with more stupid people who are also louder, which is why arming yourself with knowledge and education is going to be sort of how you rise above it.
And we're right at 7. And do you mean that in like maybe a political, worldly way, or in like just your own way?
Honestly, both. I do think that the political arena is going to heat up a lot. It's already there, but we're going to be talking more about like, how do we revolutionize what we're working with? I mean, I don't want to get too specific here, but
right.
I think that the important thing is not to focus on changing other people's minds, and also to consider how posting online political stuff is impacting your mental health. I just listened to a story on NPR about how it almost never changes anyone's mind.
Mm-hmm.
It usually, whoever is posting is usually the person most impacted by the post, and it can actually make you less closed off to listening to other people. So if you have a tendency to post politically online, you might just want to think about how it's affecting your mental health, because that's usually the biggest effect, is you're not changing minds and you're messing with yourself. And because you're getting more emotionally invested in this thing that you've said, and because you've said it publicly, you feel like you have to subscribe to it even more. Like you feel like you have to stand behind it even more.
Yes.
And so I think that, rather than standing on your soapbox, which is ultimately pretty ineffective,
mm-hmm.
think about how you can connect with like-minded individuals. Write a letter to your congressman. Take that energy that you would usually do to vent online and do something meaningful with it. Because, like, I hate to break it to you folks, you're not making a difference in your posts. You're not.
No, and somebody said something to me about that, and they said something about if you have you should stand up, you should speak out if you have a venue or a whatever, platform. And I thought, no, you mean I should speak out on the side you're on. That's what you mean. You don't mean speaking, right? And I was just yeah, I'm staying away from that. I got involved with it before, but there's no winning now. But
I think people who are qualified to do it and who are educated, and it's sort of like where they've invested their life's work, they should do it. If you want to do a fundraiser, if you want to do a call to action for a petition, if you're like doing something like that, like, yeah, that could make a difference. But if you're just like
yelling at people,
looking to start an argument or make a point, do something better with your time. Make a difference. Don't make a point, make a difference.
Best advice ever. Thank you, Renee. We did it. We did it. Tell everyone where they can book a reading with you.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, Rainbow Glitter Star. I'll be doing more TikToks next year, so that'll be Rainbow Glitter Star as well. And my website, rainbowglitterstar.com, where you can book a reading or buy magical spell kits and crystal kits and all the fun stuff.
All that stuff. All right. Thank you, Renee. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It's so good to talk to you.
You too. Angela Lovell is here. Angela, I before we even started, you and I are on the phone, and then this happened. Do you know this? I cannot have a short conversation with you. All right.
I love you.
Everyone else is going to be late because I have so much more to tell you. All right.
Same. Okay.
All right, my darling. I'm starting the clock. I will tell you when it's 7 minutes. Go.
Okay, so weird stuff for 2024. For starters, they showed me this really beautiful citrine and sunlight. So that is like the cure. That's how we're supposed to sustain ourselves. Citrine crystal, sunlight. Go out and get your eyeballs in 10 minutes of sunlight. You don't look at the sun, but I mean, some of us do. I make this mistake all the time. I look at the sun. I can't help it. I have a Leo moon. But also, not to be like too dark, but I know a lot of us were like touching in on what if I just killed myself? And that kind of lingered from the pandemic. And I have called the suicide hotline. I mean, I wanted to leave. That's going to lift next year.
Good.
So yeah, we're shifting into our purpose again. And also just a quick warning, if you do kill yourself, I asked them what would happen to me. They said I'd have 3 lifetimes as a crow. And I was like, well, that's not so bad. And then they said, you will die not being able to talk. You'll just fly around screaming for 3 lifetimes. And that's so true. I talk so much. I'm Sagittarius. Okay. So that was very scary. Don't kill yourselves. It's going to get better. Get through the holidays. Always give yourself at least 7 days was the thing they told me. Everything changes in 7 days. Okay. So 2024.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go. I sat, meditated with drumming, and this is what they showed. Real fun James Bond scene, snowy hills, felt like, very like European. There was one man walking and I was like, where is this? And they showed me Russian dolls. Then they showed me a beach with like a gun pointed. And I was like, is this some kind of crazy espionage assassination? Like, what is this? I don't necessarily think it's a shooting. The gun could just be like somebody dies and it's mysterious. But then they showed me runes, and I nobody really knows where runes first originated. It's like all over the map because they're so ancient.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing that stuck out to me was the thing about Odin hanging himself from the tree of wisdom, which is also a little suicide related, to gain more knowledge. Like that, the runes are like something originating from Odin, and Odin has been showing up for me so much lately, and he always has a crow. So this is all like, I feel like the whole theme, I'm not sure if somebody's going to die and it's going to, like, Henry Kissinger dying made us all happy. That's something that politically we can all agree on. But
just so you know, Angela posted that and wrote, I love this for him.
Yes, it just in like a funky, like, took me right out of my holiday blues. Henry Kissinger finally eating Earth. And this was interesting, eating Earth, I said. And then I also saw with this, like a cremation urn. So I'm not totally sure who this is, but I think we're all going to be able to rally about it. I also saw, and this is a huge bummer, tornadoes, gas masks. I keep getting, because I'm trying to move, but I'm in this amazing industrial space that's like pretty fireproof, and I'm up high and nobody could get in here if they wanted. So lately that's been making me feel oddly safe. But ground floor, like bungalows, apartments that I look at, I'm like, I don't feel good about that. I don't feel good about that. And I don't know why, but I feel like there's something coming.
I'm just going to throw this in. Where I live, I moved a third time. I moved the third time. This should be the right time. But I was looking and I was like, there's no way out if there's a fire. Like if I'm in my bedroom and there's a fire and the electrical is terrible, I can't, there's windows are too small for me to crawl out of. So
oh my God.
Put up if you're in an apartment, you took down the fire alarms, put them back up, put new batteries in. That's it. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. Well, I don't know if you saw in LA, an unhoused person, we have this arsonist in my neighborhood who keeps setting fire to everything, shut down the 10 for like a week.
Oh, yes. Burnt it down.
And then, yes. And then the money that they had to fund to reconstruct it, they could have just ended homelessness in LA. But that's not what our government does, because keeping us poor is profitable for them. So this shit, though, I have like real good revolution vibes coming in. People are finally, like, the propaganda machine broke because of Instagram and TikTok, and we have like real journalists sharing stuff right to their stories. I mean, people are waking up.
And real people in the situations are on there too.
Yes, exactly. So even like the election is going to be weird. I mean, we have a lot of weird shifts coming, but it feels like the younger generation. I also saw some alien stuff, but the younger generation is definitely taking the reins. Like, they're stepping into like their golden child era. And man, I really like the vibes on these young people. I'm so excited. So I did see, I also, the dog respiratory infection stuff. Have you seen that?
I did. It's a little bit about it. I couldn't look at it.
So Toddie's not leaving the house. The chihuahua doesn't get to leave the house anymore. But I was giving a reading to someone about their pet has allergies, and their guides kept showing me all the animals, like chickens, turkeys, pigs. They kept showing me all the animals, and I'm like, I was like, because I'm vegan. Toddie's not vegan. Because she's disgusting. Well, Piglet likes what she likes, but she was. Yes, she was vegan when I got her, and she loves vegetables, but after we run through this bag of her gross stinky meat stuff, she's going to go vegan for a minute, because after this reading I gave, I'm worried that the respiratory infection is spreading through the meat.
Oh, yes, so much through the meat. And also know that there's a great vegan dog food, if it's still around, called Garden of Vegan, that encourages. It's by Halo, HALO.
Oh my God, thank you. I'm actually going back and forth with my client home, like, you got to get your dog on a vegan diet. So there is also, what is it, Veg Dog. It's the kibble. She's always had the vegan kibble. Okay. So but then I give her the gross things anyway. Something to consider if you have dogs. Also, just don't give them too much broccoli. I mean, do all the research, talk to a vet. But I'm just worried right now that it's spreading through the meat, and COVID was spreading. I saw this. I didn't predict this on your podcast, but I saw COVID spreading through slaughterhouses long before. And I did talk about it on This Is Where the Magic Happens with Ryan. Like, before COVID hit, I was telling people, and the slaughterhouses, all those people died working. People in offices not dying at the same rate. And they will, we're never going to know what.
No, we're not.
But I think it spreads through all those minks they murdered, those poor little animals, because it had a new strand of COVID spreading through them. So I'm worried that this is like maybe an offshoot, whatever, of COVID for the dogs. So yeah, very scary. I hope that just dies down. But okay, I did see an alien. It was very fun. And he was one of the cute little grays, the friendly ones. And somebody found him. He like was in a hole, or his thing crashed or something. I don't know, but this is going to happen, I think. I'm hoping the government doesn't cover it up, but it might not be totally believable. But I'm seeing it. I'm seeing somebody find a cute little gray. And I feel like they're coming in more than ever, because we just need them. Like we need the good ones to step up.
Okay, we're right around 7. We're over, but go ahead if you have anything else, and then I got to tell you something. Okay. Go ahead.
I did see more hostility coming from the ocean, and I know I've said this before, but
you're the third one today to see that.
Oh my God. I said this on your last one too, before the orcas. So stop fucking with the ocean, you guys. It is basically the ultimate haunted house vortex. I saw all these like prehistoric things guarding their eggs. Like, not for us. We don't belong there anymore. So stay out of the ocean. I was even like, should I even eat my blue-green algae? And I did all this research and I'm still eating that. I'm fine with that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the wrap up for me.
Okay. You know what? I forgot. I should have told this to my friend Ryan and Renee, but I forgot. And I'm going to tell you. So there's this wonderful account on TikTok and it's called JK Ultra. And she does the most in-depth, like alien. She's amazing, right? Ooh. And she did some sort of a chart on who the Antichrist was. And she said, whoever got it, which I don't know, I don't believe it's like, I believe there's somebody going to try and lead us the wrong way. I think Antichrist is a big word. I don't know, but anyway, but there is somebody coming. And she showed his chart and she said, I'm not telling you who it is. And if you got it right, I'm taking it out of the comments. But everything was in Aquarius.
Whoa.
So if you see that anywhere, you call me immediately and we'll get on the podcast.
I'd follow an Aquarius. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was like a lot of it was like too many in that one sign. So
it's very interesting though. It's very interesting because Antichrist, what is that? Like,
it's not
the Jesus that they constructed isn't the real Jesus. Like
right,
the white Jesus isn't the real So like is the Antichrist so bad? I don't know. All that Aquarius sounds fun to me. I'm in.
It sounds bossy.
Bossy. Oh, I like that.
But maybe he's just going to come in and put an end to unlimited breadsticks or something. Maybe it's not that bad.
Your Aquarius is bossy. Isn't your moon Aquarius?
My moon is no, it's worse. It's Aries.
Is your rising Aquarius? Where's your
rising? Is Gemini, and then Leo is my Leo.
I
Gemini.
thought for
Aries.
sure you had a big Aquarius. Interesting, but the Gemini is what I'm getting.
Fire over here. Fire. You got to have a smoke alarm on you to date me. That's what I'm saying.
That's bossy. All the fire is bossy.
It is.
I pity the triple Aquarius who crosses.
Yeah, this was
fire.
You know, there was this one woman. She was a comic I worked with, his girlfriend, and I never kept in touch with her. And I didn't know enough about astrology. She also had that where like everything was in one sign, and I was like, that's really weird. So if you see this famous person, apparently JK said he doesn't know he's the Antichrist yet. So he hasn't been, and that he'll be misled by other. So I think sometimes when we say Antichrist, we just mean a really awful world leader, like a Hitler type world leader that gets away with stuff.
I wonder what Putin is. I think I have done it.
I looked up Putin. I looked up Yahoo.
Do you remember what Putin is?
I looked up the Prince of Saudi Arabia, who I fear a lot. I looked up a bunch of them. I looked up the other one, Ukraine guy, Zelensky. I think
he's a puppet.
Yeah, he's a puppet. I think I don't know, but if you come across it, let me know, and we'll figure it out ourselves. Yes. If anyone in the audience knows world leader or going to be a world leader with all Aquarius. Okay.
Very creepy
Tell
stuff.
everybody where to find you.
Yay. Okay, you can find me at angelalovell.com. My podcast that I never do, but I intend to do more of in 2024 now that I'm not going to be calling the suicide hotline so much. Just kidding. A lot. It's called Dear Witchy Poo. I have a psychic development course. I do feel like psychic readings are going to go down in 2024 because everybody's getting their intuition better, stronger.
Hey,
so I'm like
maybe
happy
you're
for the
guiding
collective
them because yours is going to get stronger too. So maybe you're leading them. So far, 2023 has not let up. Every time I'm like, you know what? I don't think I have a career anymore, and then it's like, I better start blocking off time or I'll never have anything else. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, my psychic development course is on sale right now. It's usually $350. It's $99 right now. Yeah, and it's good. Yeah, you took it.
Yes, and also tell everyone, just so they're clear, your last name is spelled spell your last name.
Lovell, like love with 2 L's.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend.
Oh, I love you. Thank you for having me.
Too. Bye, darling. Hey, my sister in parental stuff. I was going to say distress, and then I was like, don't even use that word. Andrea Land is here. If you're not following her, you need to on Instagram or TikTok to see her stuff about the Schumann resonance. But today, I'm going to start the clock. I'll tell you when it's 7 minutes, and then we'll have a minute to go. Andrea, what do you got for us today?
All right. Well, thank you for having me back as always. It's always such a pleasure to be on here and talk with you. And I know everybody in the community is so grateful to you for these opportunities. And everybody can follow me at Grooving Goddess. I'll just throw that out there. So the first 3 little predictions I have that I know I'm going to nail this year are that when this episode drops, I will be on a beach in the Caribbean. I will have a draft of my book that I am writing called Accidental Cougar, a memoir about my dating life, which will come out, sometime probably in 2025, but I'll have the draft finished next year. I started in NaNoWriMo. And then I'll be back to seeing clients and officially working in February. I've been on sabbatical since September. Just taking care of life stuff, which kind of leads into the predictions for the year, because more so than specific events, although there are a few that I will throw out there, it's more about what you're going to be needing to do to get through this solar maximum period and time of chaos.
All right.
So, first thing I want to throw out there is there's nothing that's, terribly scary that you need to worry about. I know the media loves to do that to all of us. So just the biggest thing you can do for yourself is don't let things make you afraid. Most of the time, they're exaggerated like 10 times. So the first thing that I want to point out is that we are having a solar totality on April 8th in 2024, and that eclipse may bring some chaos just because it's different than the one we just had in October, in that this is a true totality, which means 100% you'll actually be able to look at the eclipsed sun with your naked eyes for 2 to 4 minutes, depending on where you are. So that's a pretty epic event, and it affects people deeply. So that is going to be a catalyst for more spiritual awakening of a lot of people. And during that period of time leading up to and after, things may be a little more chaotic than they already are. If we get a large solar storm during that eclipse window, then we are definitely looking at possibly, a big earthquake or volcanic eruption or a tsunami, anything in the geoseismic window there. Because what we established this last year with last year's predictions and just kind of how it shook out is that during these eclipse windows, when there's multiple things happening, is when the greater seismic activity occurs. So the second thing is, unfortunately, we're definitely going to have, continued conflict around the world until at least 2027. But don't let that scare you. I'm talking, it's all awful no matter where it is, but I'm talking about smaller pockets of it in different countries, not, an official world war or anything like that everybody gets
bent out of shape,
scared about.
And people, don't let the government or the people scare you into not flying or not going. That's I'm just throwing
exactly.
That in.
Yes, definitely. I endorse that 100%. Travel, live your life. Then there is a potential new health threat that may be coming up towards harvest or possibly during the growing season this year. There have been a lot of changes with climate that's happening in its Earth's climate cycle. So everyone stop feeling guilty like it's all our fault. Earth would be doing this whether we had fossil fuels or not. I'm not saying stop using fossil fuels. I'm not saying don't stop polluting the Earth, but it's not us that's necessarily causing it.
We could do better, but it's not all us. I agree. And actually,
exactly.
Let me just throw this in. 70%.
Yeah, go ahead.
70% of what we're calling our fault is 7 companies.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So because of the climate cycle, though, that we're in, part of what's happening is that it's affecting the soils, the waters, all kinds of different things. And I'm feeling a fungus or some sort of thing that's going to cause some crop loss and some more difficulty this year than we had this last year. Then another thing is that the Schumann resonance, it has entered a pulsing activation pattern since this last solar storm that we had. And you can expect that to be happening a lot over the next year in particular, because the solar maximum and the Schumann pulsing tend to go together. And also the Schumann resonance reflects what's going on with humans, which are part of Earth's nervous system. So we really need to learn to be addicted to peace and joy instead of adrenaline.
And
because
fear,
the problem is we like all the scary things to a certain degree because we have programmed ourselves to want that drama and that excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to, try to shift that, because that'll be the thing that helps Earth right now the most of anything we could be doing, is manage your nervous system. Fifth prediction here: surprisingly less interest in and participation in the coming election and BS. I think there's also a really good chance, because there's sort of, I wouldn't call it death of celebrity, but it's like a death of popularity.
Yeah.
Less of people being at this top tier, and then everyone else gets ignored, and more of people finding their interests. So the election and all of their clowning and antics have less draw and interest from people than it used to.
Love that.
And then I also see with the solar maximum, which I'll get to that in a second, but if we have the solar maximum around the time I think it's most likely to happen, then there's a good chance that we could have interference with satellites and stuff and wind up having trouble with voting machines and things that both sides are going to accuse each other of, but neither of them had anything to do with it.
You know it. Okay, we're right at 7. Go ahead.
Yep. And so then the death of popularity, that's like the celebrity just isn't as much of a draw to everybody anymore. We're all trying to live our own lives. And then the solar maximum, NASA has finally agreed with what I said 2 years ago, which is that the solar maximum is coming sooner. And I see it happening in a window between July and October, but more close to October.
And when you say that, the solar maximum, what does that mean?
Solar maximum means that, like, the storms that we've had the last month, where we had a couple, those will be happening frequently. So there'll be sort of a cacophony of all of the solar activity with solar flares, CMEs, geomagnetic storms, and larger flares, but not anything like the media tries to scare you with, saying that it's going to take out the internet or anything. But it can definitely affect some computer operations, communication grids, electrical grids, but it'll be like intermittent disruption. Now, once that solar maximum happens, the effect on human consciousness and the massive spiritual awakening is going to cause for a lot of people. It's kind of like an either you evolve or you devolve situation for those folks, because some folks are going to, go through a usual spiritual awakening and have the support they need and all that. And some others are going to think that they've lost their mind, most likely, and may not respond well to that experience. And we'll see more chaos while that's processing, because it takes a few years for those things to settle down once people are mass awakened.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. That sounds
scary. Yeah. So, that will bring some different kind of chaos. So that's why I'm saying, we have to just realize that the soft apocalypse has started, and it's going slowly like a dementia patient.
I love that. It's like a soft opening, the soft apocalypse.
Yeah. And so So as this slow decline of the system is happening and we're having the climate change things, the best thing you can do for yourselves this next year and as soon as possible is to be, and I don't mean prepping your homes like storing food and water. I mean choosing where to live based on climate activity and choosing how to prepare your home for having to be more climate controlled. Like one of the things I'm going to be doing is putting in windows because my windows are very old and these windows will keep both the heat and cold out and our temperature that we want in the house. And that's, being able to cool yourself and keep yourself warm are going to become even more important as we move through these climate shifts.
Yes. And also I got to throw this in, even though I'm already late for the next, Monique is after you. Yes, it's very interesting because the past 2 years, all these people I know got moved. And I don't mean refugees. I mean people like I have to go from Tennessee to Wisconsin to take care of my mom. I have to go from Florida to everybody got moved around to where they didn't really want to go. And if it's just holding there, like I'm where, I'm still in Utica. I'm not where I want to go. And so that's very interesting about getting ready. And maybe those of us that are not happy where we live, we will start to see why it happened.
Exactly. I really think that is going to be part of what happens is this next year is going to give a lot of people some awareness and hindsight of, oh, now I get why these things happened in my life. I'll be dropping an episode in the new year talking about my sabbatical and what all that was about. And that's kind of what I just already went through. So that's why I can tell it's coming.
All right, Andrea, everybody finds you at Grooving Goddess.
Yes.
And that's TikTok and there's no underscore, nothing, just all one word.
No, I managed to score at Grooving Goddess everywhere. My Patreon is Grooving Goddess, my Linktree is Grooving Goddess, and my Patreon is free right now. So go join because I've paused billing until whenever I feel like charging people again.
There you go. Nice work. All right, Andrea, thank you so much.
Thank you. Say it, Karen. I just love you to pieces.
I love you too, hon. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hello, Monique Pilakis. Did I say it right?
Close enough.
I talked to you.
I don't care.
No one, I literally talk to you almost or text back and forth almost every day. And then I have to say your last name and I'm like, you're a dummy. Say it for me again, Monique.
No, Karen, I don't care. You can call me whatever you want. I don't care. That's how much I love you.
You're listed in my phone as Homewrecker, which is probably not good, but isn't that the name of your podcast? Right? It's Homewrecker.
The Homewrecker. Yeah, the Homewrecker podcast. I'm Monique Homewrecker. Says a lot about me.
And all right, darling, I'll start the clock. I'll tell you when we hit 7. What do you got?
Okay, so I did my spread for next year and it felt really shitty in terms of what's to come. And for anyone out there who's watched the show Ted Lasso, which is an amazing show, I had a Roy Kent moment thinking, fuck, when my reading came. So afterwards, I spent time reflecting and meditating on it and came to a realization that I'm going to share at the end.
Okay.
So for the first quarter, it's going to start off with stagnancy. So next year is going to be, we're going to have a long and difficult winter for many people. And I don't mean in terms of weather, though I do feel we're going to see a lot of regions hit with a lot of snow.
In other words, this is coming out December 28th. Is that in January, March?
Yes. Okay. So I'm starting in January.
Got it. Okay. That's where the snow. Yeah. I'm worried about the snow. I gotta go do my gigs. Okay. But
my cards were telling me snow. But I feel a lot of cold and darkness is coming, but soul wise and mentally in a way that's going to become very draining. So this is a time we need to hold on to hope. And we need to be honest with ourselves and others, especially when it comes to asking for help. And it's going to be a time for making plans for ourselves and putting them into action throughout the entire year, allowing emotions to just stay in the background.
Okay.
So in the second quarter, I know. In the second quarter, the stagnancy is going to hang on a little longer before turning to change. And this is going to be a period of endurance and resilience. So we're going to have to work to find strength within ourselves. And we're going to have to still keep working on ourselves. I know, not fun.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also a time to become aware of ourselves and what we really can and need to do. It's going to be a shitty time, but if we allow it to make us stronger, at least it won't be for nothing.
Right.
For the third quarter, if you're doing the work the first half of the year, it should be much better. And towards the end, we're going to find more painful truths, but there should be more relief than pain. We want to stay away from unnecessary drama, choose positivity, and be mindful of our decisions. Because sometimes the grass isn't always greener. So remember that. And most importantly, during this quarter, or even throughout the year, think about the person you see yourself as and the person, like, who is the person that you want to be? And are they the same? If not, see that truth and work on making your goals reality. So work on, is this the person I want to be? Am I that person? If you're not, this is the time to work on it.
Right.
And for the last quarter, it's going to be a time for healing, but there are so many just clinging and holding on to the old ways, to the past. Life is always coming and going in different ways. There will be a lot of poverty, literally, mentally, and spiritually in the world. If you're allowing the world to control you, you're going to be a casualty of it. So find appreciation for the little things and how you've evolved over the year. And if you haven't found what makes you happy by this point, stop delaying. So I pulled a card from my animal oracle deck to represent the year. And I got the panther, which represents purging and the annihilation of the unnecessary. So the panther pounces into our lives, wreaking havoc to disrupt stagnancy with the goal of bringing a more fulfilling life. So I feel like this card really nailed the overall theme of the year.
Wow.
And yeah, with all that said, I mentioned before, the spread I got with my cards, I just gave me a not so positive feeling, like there's still so much going on.
Right.
So I meditated on it. I thought about it. And a few things came to me, including a conversation that I had with you, Karen, about chaos. And it just came in my head that we've been in a controlled chaos the past few years. And we're always trying to figure out what's going to happen and how can we handle it. And at times, even how do we survive this? And we live with woulda, shoulda, couldas. And I think it's time we all stop looking to the past and begin looking towards the future, taking those lessons we've learned and moving on with them, but without carrying the pains that came with those lessons. The world's been going through a nonstop tower card moment with breaks here and there, but perhaps it's because we're not building the proper foundations. And I know it can be hard and scary, but it's all necessary. And I feel that 2024 will be a time to let go and move on in our own personal and individual ways, but also as a collective. So I just want to say for all those listening, you can do this. You're not alone. You are loved, and I love you.
I love that. Also, it's I love what you said there. And there's another way to approach this. And like, I think I've said this a couple of times on this episode. You're wrapped, right? You're
that's
okay.
it.
So, we don't have to participate. There's two ways. You can really be like, this is the movie I chose to be in. And also, like what you were saying about letting go, like I really think I remember I always like didn't believe the news, but watched the news and believed a little. And then that day where I was like, they're all lying. Like you feel like you've been robbed when you realize how bad your government and the media is. And that can be literally a loss because it's a loss of stability. And if you can just remember you made it on your own without that, this is going to feel easier.
Exactly.
You made it. Yeah, not them.
But that's the thing. You have to hold your independence. It's, I feel like we all need to come together and still work together, but we cannot be dependent upon others. We have to stand strong on our own. And a lot of that, it's like this work. And the people who've been doing the work year after year, like I hear from them and they say it hasn't been that bad. And like I've said before, it's like two different timelines or like fracturing of timelines. We're all living different realities. And the people who are doing the work, it doesn't seem as bad. And the people who haven't are having a really hard time. And my heart goes out to them. But, it comes down to you have to do the work on yourself. You can't change anything else for anybody until you do the work on yourself. And that's where we are, I think, as a world right now.
And you know what else about doing the work? This is what's really interesting. Sometimes I use the word light workers just because I can't think of a better word, even though I hate that word. But we all get it a little ahead of everybody else. Have you noticed that? Like if you're doing the work, you kind of go through something and then you watch the rest of the world like, oh, look at, they got it now. I don't know what that is, but maybe it is a timeline thing.
I can't help but wonder if we had to go through it. So when it happens, we're there to help other people through it as well.
Yeah. Okay.
That's kind of what, like when all that happens all the time, I'm like, maybe because I always want to find the positive, or maybe we are just, that one step ahead where it's like, we went through the shit, and it's like, okay, we did it. We're out. Oh, look, everyone else has to do it too. Oh, okay. Well, I already got mine done and over with. So
right. I got my Christmas shopping done early.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right, dear. Tell everyone where they can find you. And don't forget to tell that, the different kind of hypnosis you do. And also you do past life regression. Every once in a while, someone will ask me about that. So make sure people know you do past life regression. Or I guess I just did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I am a certified hypnotherapist and stress management consultant. You can go to my website, innerstandingshypnosis.com. And I offer hypnotherapy services. I do past life regression. I do a lot of work with people more on the spiritual level in terms of finding out what you need as a person, what your soul needs, working on, things that you don't like, things you want to change. But I'm going to be honest, you got to do work. Like I've been saying this whole thing, you got to do the work. I also read tarot and I make organites. So you can go to my website, tarotbymonique.com, schedule a tarot reading, or check out my organite and purchase something. Everything is handmade with love.
Yes, as you know, I keep telling people I don't really own anything, and when I'm done in Utica, I'm going to get in my car and go. And I have my organite dragon. It is beautiful, and I almost thought if there was a nail on the door in this third apartment that I had to move to, I was going to hang it on the door because I thought it's a very interesting thing for people to see coming in, and I feel like it doesn't say I'm a threat. It says I'm protected.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It does. Yes, I have different kinds of dragons, and yeah, it's just, there's something for everyone. You just got to find what resonates with you. And I'm glad that dragon resonated with you.
Oh, it was perfect. Thank you very much, my friend.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. And thank you to all the listeners. I love you all.
Sallow, how are you today?
Oh, I'm most excellent in the universe. I'm so glad to be here today.
You are always excellent in the universe. I love your energy. All right. So before we even start, I want to tell everybody where they can find you and tell them about your Etsy store because your art is fantastic.
Well, my Etsy store is called Galactic Light Art, and I make orgone energy art. So that way it's functional and beautiful art because it wards off 5G cell tower, negative vibes that we get in the universe. And we always wonder about our body. So that is very helpful. They're very reasonably priced from, like $14 to $20. So that way everybody can have a peace of mind and a piece of safety in their home. And I also have my website for my psychic readings. It's just Salo Stanley psychic.com. Yeah, that's it. And so they can, if they want a reading, we go over numerology, astrology, and my psychic abilities. It's our reading. We go over your spiritual purpose. Oh my God, cool stuff. And if you want to just email me with a quick question or something in the universe, it's solostanley@gmail.com.
And also on your organite, they're getting ready to roll out 6G.
Yes, they are. And I went up and I make my big ass busters, which is, and the big ass busters are close to almost 5 feet, my 5 inches across and about a pound. And it has wonderful metals and, lapis and rhodochrosite and just wonderful metals for those big ones. And it's a generator. So you can charge any of your other crystals at home or put them on a property. If you live on land, it balances out the ley lines and all that sorts of stuff. So we got it going because we could use that energy protection.
That is true. All right, my dear, I am going to start the clock. Tell us what you got for us.
All right. Well, 2024, of course, I do numerology. If you do the 2, the 0, the 2, and the 4, it comes out to an 8 this year in numerology, which means that we're here to be self-empowered and not the victim this year coming up. In a way, my guides are saying, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. With all the chaos and everything else happening in the world, it's about us being self-empowered and not the victim. It's about being in a year of the divine feminine that's coming up, because when you put the number 8 on its side, it's the infinity sign. So we're going to bring in a little bit more of that intuition, because that number 2 repeats itself also for the world number in 2024. We also want to have a balance between work and play. And the 8 is a manifester of work. It's a business number, and it's about following the steps and not skipping any of the steps and being very conscientious of that. And with that, you'll be duly rewarded. It will be you will reap what you sow. What you sow this year, depending if it's good or bad in the universe with the 8 year. But so my guides say, step into the world with eyes and ears and heart open this year. So that's so important. And with that, I did a ghost box session about 2024. And in the session, it did say that there was an incoming vortex happening this year, coming in all at once. So people that have been doing their work spiritually will kind of get this and ready for the downloads that are happening. And the people that are not, don't worry too much. You may get it in dream time, but don't get freaked out if that happens, but take advantage of it. It is a year of also with that number 8 that we talked about, is eating well is a very big thing. It's about, maybe having more of organic foods, farmers market, cooking more at home. We kind of learned that through the pandemic that we had. And now it's just another theme, because the 8 also represents our body and our health this year. So that's important. I wanted to get out for this 2024. My guides also said cyber attacks may be a big one this year because of quantum computers coming up. It leads to increased hacking for those people that are talented in the universe. And so you're going to see a lot of hacking of hospitals with ransoms, the banking institutes, and also here and there, internet being down this year coming up. So I just wanted to give a little warning about that. Don't get freaked out, and know that sometimes this can also be a misdirection for making new legislation of control of the internet, which they have done in the past but didn't go through. But just be aware of that might be another theme that comes up this year in 2024.
Yes.
I also had visions of the stock market declining, and that we can go in a possible recession this year. There are also going to be some breakdowns with the supply chain again. There's going to be some problems in the Panama Canal, my guide said. And then also there was a reason because one of the trade routes, the Euphrates River, has been getting kind of low. And so there's been a lot of diversions with some of the supply ships and things, my guides are saying. And so that can also cause a big disruption in the supply chain that I was getting. So
excellent.
So we could be for that.
I said excellent, like I was happy there to be supply. I just meant that this is an excellent. I'm not happy about supply chain. I just think you're doing an excellent job. Okay, keep going.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. It's so hard as a psychic sometimes. We just don't know. We don't get feedback. And it's,
right?
you always kind of question yourself. And I'm like the biggest skeptic about things, so. surprisingly. But because I believe that there should be always a balance between science and spirituality in the universe. So, and having your feet on the ground as well as in, heaven here on earth. A bridge is so important at having balance in the universe. So, the other one I'm going out on a limb on. I did get a little bit of a vision of some earthquakes happening, but I'm going to be a little bit more specific and go out that there might be a large earthquake in Italy and northern Italy. I was getting.
I know that I love you out on a limb. I always encourage that with everyone. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So that was out on the limb, along with the Pacific Rim, of course. And I did see some more visions happening with Hawaii. They did have that fire. I think in June, I talked about fires being a little bit more around the West Coast, a little bit more out. And I really do see some more problems there that's going to be hidden, and some problems with their economics, but also I don't know if it's going to be some flooding. That was what it was. It was volcanoes. Volcanoes in Hawaii that's going to displace some people, but it's going to be a problem is what I'm doing. I'm going out on a limb again, but that's what I was getting. Of course, in the Midwest, I feel like because I live here, there's going to be some more tornadoes and some weird little weather of not being as cold as it used to be at times, and then all of a sudden have like a polar vortex come through. So it's going to be weird ass weather in the Midwest. I can tell you that. My God, yeah. So there's also going to be more people crossing the border. That's been kind of hush hush, but I would really see thousands of people that's going to enter the U.S. And going to really affect our infrastructure a bit. I don't know how they're going to correct that, but I did kind of get that, and we'll kind of see how that's going to go. People are also going to be wanting more of their freedom this year in an 8-year about being self-empowered, speaking their truth, standing up more to police officers, knowing what their First Amendment, Fifth Amendment rights, Fourth Amendment rights are, and really, really standing strong with that. And also in the court systems will be happening a lot. So we may see some new changes in the infrastructure in the cities and the states with that, but there's going to be a lot of people just standing up for their rights and really want to bring in this sense of freedom. And talking about freedom, there might be another respiratory stuff kind of going on. I see like in March, only because Pluto starts going into Aquarius. Aquarius rules air and viruses and stuff. And so if I'm going on a limb, I'm going to say March. But don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
I love that. I love that. Okay, keep going. You're at 7. We got a whole nother minute. Go ahead.
Okay, so to do that. Oh yeah, the electric cars will not work. Because lithium batteries, it's really unrealistic. Lithium batteries, there's only like 2 places on the planet you can get lithium batteries, and there's no way of disposing them. They catch on fire. So that's going to be a big issue this year. Like people are going to say no to that. Medical breakthroughs with new med beds and light and sound therapy coming up. I think there's going to be a global slowdown and increased solar flares and the aurora borealis in September of 2024 I was getting. And lastly, going out on a limb, my friend, a fire in France with a possible historic building.
You know what? That's so funny because I got that and I think it already burnt down. So I think it was like, watch for it again. What was the Sistine Chapel? Did that burn down in France? Or there was something that already burnt down in France, right?
Yeah, it's the Notre Dame one that had part of the chapel at the top burned a few years ago. So
yes, I got that same thing in France. Yes.
Oh my God. So like, how cool is that? So I hope we did okay.
You did fantastic. And listen, halfway through the year or sometime, we got to get you on the podcast as the full guest. So we'll have you back to talk numerology or something. But that was a great job. So once again, give everybody your website, Salo Stanley, which is SALO, and then Stanley just spelled correct, as it is, right?
Follow Stanley. Psychic.com is my spiritual reading page. My Etsy store is just Galactic Light Art. Just Google it. It's one word. And if you want to email me, it's solostanley@gmail.com. I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram. I am on TikTok. And I have a YouTube channel under Solo Stanley, and also Ghost Box Sessions, because I love talking to the dead.
We got to talk about that. Okay. All right. Thank you. Great job.
All right. Thank you so much.
Camille, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. From Highly Spiritual Person. I love that name. HighlySpiritualPerson.com. And we just had you on the podcast, and it's like you're, and then you were in the live readings we did. We're getting to be too much, right? We're too attached at the hip.
Yeah, we got to stop hanging out. We really have to.
It's been great. All right, darling. What do you got for us? Go.
Okay, so I have about 4 things for you today. So the first thing that came through was severe flooding in Florida, which I don't think is too big of a surprise because we've had a lot of natural disasters. But the second thing that came in was further inland than expected. So I'm thinking for folks who maybe don't live right on the shoreline, or maybe have thankfully not had to deal with flooding so far, may have to think about that this year and just being prepared for that possibility. Second thing that came through, I'm actually really excited about this one. I saw that there may be some kind of new technology or advancement in scientific research that could help people who are wheelchair bound or paralyzed. So like in this kind of vision, I was seeing people like standing up out of wheelchairs, and I'm feeling like whatever this breakthrough is, it's going to potentially help a lot of different types of people with different issues around mobility. And specifically, I saw a specific person. He's a former college football player, Eric LeGrand. He was paralyzed in a football match years ago. I saw that he was either like involved in the testing for this, or maybe in the awareness campaign around this research, but he was kind of involved somehow in this research kind of coming out to the public. So that was the second big thing that I really hope comes true, because that would be really great for a lot of people.
Yes.
The third thing, I'm sorry to say, I think we're going to lose Alan Alda this year. Yeah, I saw that he might unfortunately pass. Which is just very sad because he's done so many really great things and so many great media and MASH and all of that.
Yes.
So the last thing that came through, I asked just for a general message for the collective. Am I at the 1 minute? Is that me?
You've got
you've
got 4 minutes left. 5 minutes left.
Good. Okay, perfect. Because this one's a little bit long. So I asked for a kind of general message for the collective, and what came through was no fear, speak up. So what I was feeling around this was personal expression being very big for everybody in the collective for 2024. So more communication, more exchanging of ideas, and actually kind of having more flow around uncomfortable conversations. Personally, I feel like we've kind of had some very, very fiery situations where it's been difficult to kind of exchange information back and forth.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's going to be safer to have big conversations. Not completely safe, but like safer to have conversations. And me personally speaking, please use your discretion and your discernment. Don't walk into objectively dangerous situations. I want to put that caveat on it. Don't go into a situation where something potentially bad could happen, where it's dangerous or there's risk. But what I was feeling like, I saw kind of like, okay, talking to, let's say, a friend who maybe you're not seeing eye to eye with, or a neighbor that you've been having some issues with, extending the olive branch and showing that you're coming in peace, and kind of being able to gently open up to that harder conversation. And I think as time goes on, we'll be able to work up to bigger and bigger and harder conversations that are very important. But it almost felt like baby steps. We need to start with the low-hanging fruit of slightly difficult conversations, and then we'll get better at kind of those big, hard conversations. So That's what I got. That's what I got for 2024.
I love that. And I had something that sort of tags right on to what you're saying.
Yeah.
That, that was fantastic, darling. Okay. So you're already on the podcast. I think you're like last week and now this week, but we have Christmas off. So everybody can find you at highlyspiritualperson.com.
Yep.
And you have breath work, you have manifestation stuff. Anything else you want to tell people about?
Yeah, I do energy healing sessions remotely. I'm adding a new modality that I'm being trained in right now called Chinese energy healing, also known as subconscious hacking. I'm in the learning phases of that now, but that'll be up on the site soon as I complete my training. So I'll have some reduced pricing as I'm getting my feet wet, but I'm already seeing some really amazing things from the folks that I've been practicing on right now. But it's always changing. I have really, really great resources if you're like newly waking up and you just need someone to help you. I'm like your spiritual awakening midwife. Think of me that way.
And you know what? If for some reason you didn't hear her on the December 8th, is it the 8th?
Yeah.
Go back and listen. It was a great episode. So, all right. Thank you, my dear.
Oh, thank you, Karen. This was great.
Serafina Blackman, how are you?
I am amazing and very well.
I love that. You are probably the only person that has said that to me in 2023. So I bet you have some great predictions for us, right?
I have amazing predictions.
All right.
The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say that there is a new algorithmic frequency that is being rewritten next year.
Oh, okay.
So this is not something that didn't exist. This is a frequency that we've all been able to tap into, but it is being rewritten, which means that it's within a few years or so, this kind of narrative is no longer going to be popular. And what it is this whole forlorn feeling for star-crossed lovers kind of thing, right?
That's very close to something I had. So interesting. Okay, go ahead.
So this whole twin flame dynamic thing is just going to fade. It's going to fade away. People who have been stuck into this kind of algorithmic frequency that haven't been able to get out of it, it will no longer be that hard. It will no longer have that pull. It's no longer going to have that draw. And this was specific because they read the line from Romeo and Juliet, but they rewrote the last line. And the last line that says, where is that? From forth the frail loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers make new life. Instead, it used to be that they take their life, but this is that they're making new life. So yes. And then after that, they talked about the Gemini twins. Now, the Gemini twins are 4 people, right?
Uh-huh.
The Gemini twins of Greek mythology are actually 4 people. And they said that these Gemini twins are laying down the frequencies in the macro level. Now, there's two areas of the earth that this is happening, right? Mm-hmm. So this is 2 families from 2 different countries. They are from countries that are, I would say, historic foes. 2 families, and there's going to be a merger of these 2 families. This is China and India. There are 2 very large corporations that are family owned, and these 2 corporations are going to have a merger. These 2 countries they're going to try to stop it. The governments of these 2 countries, China and India, are going to stop the merging of these 2 companies because these 2 companies have emerging technologies. And when they combine it, this is creating something new. We are looking at the birth of the new Taipan from the East.
Wow.
This is the new Taipan. This is going to be the head of these 2 families that have these two companies that are going to merge. There's going to be a battle for it, but they're going to be able to get through to an independent party that's going to be coming from another country, and they will merge these two companies. And this is where you are really going to see the birth of AI expand in the world.
Wow.
And it's going to be coming from these two countries, right? Like I said, this is the new Asian Taipan.
Real quickly, are you worried at all about AI, or you're just like, it's fine?
Well, you see, that's the thing, is that it can go either way. It can go either way. I am much more encouraged by this new development with this new Taipan than with the sort of crazy kind of spread, no regulation coming from anywhere, all kinds of different versions. These people are going to be locking it down. They're going to be bringing it out. They're going to be distributing it in a way that is going to change life. This is going to be happening next year. Now, to balance the other side of the world, I'm moving now to the USA. And again, the other two Gemini twins, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, two companies. This is two companies now. One who traditionally worked in oil, not the oil in the ground, but lubricants. So this is sort of petrochemical downscaling industries, right?
Uh-huh.
They worked in lubricants. The other company worked in water, right?
Mm-hmm.
They worked in not the manufacturing of water, but the bottling of water. These two companies deal in heavy machinery, but they have a technology which both of them are interested in, and they're also going to merge. Now, there are a lot of larger companies that are going to be, I would say, the billionaires, the elite, are going to try and stop this. And they're going to try to lobby for the US government to sort of block this sort of merger. But we have a champion for this, and they referred to her as the Arabian woman, right? She is actually an agent within the government, but she's actually going to be, so it's kind of like an inside job. She's going to be protecting, and she's going to be assisting them with this merger. They called her the Arabian woman, but she didn't look Arabian to me. She looked Indian. And she has the name of Muhammad. Muhammad's name was Khan, right? So this Khan woman is going to be the one who is going to be helping with this merger of these two companies, oil and water. They are going to generate the technical revolution in the Americas.
Wow.
Because again, they have two emerging technologies that when combined, it's not going to be an innovation. This is going to be new, has never existed before, right? This is new.
Wow.
So I want to say that don't feed into the fear program that all of this change is going to be helpful. This is actually shaking. This is shaking the status quo. This is shaking up these people who have caps on the money, the wealth, this is making the billionaires very, very nervous.
Well, I like
very
that.
nervous.
I like that a lot.
Right? So again, there's one more thing. So separating aside from that, they're talking about this new life. So the Queen of Jordan, there's going to be an assassination attempt on her.
Oh.
Right? But they're not actually aiming for her. They're actually aiming for what she's carrying, because it's either that she is pregnant already, or they want to stop her from being able to carry a child, because her child is anticipated, important. They refer to him as the master son.
Oh, that's interesting. Is that so he would take over?
He would take over, but he would essentially be ruling the free world.
Wow.
That child. And there are a lot of people, like when I tried to see this child, when I tried to look into it, there were so many people in the way. So I am telling you that there's a lot of people who already know that this child is going to be coming, and they already know that it's going to be the Queen of Jordan. And there were so many people. I'm telling you, a temple of people. That is what I would say. The energy felt like a temple of people waiting for this child. This child did not feel like a Messiah, Jesus kind of thing. He felt more like a Shiva as opposed to a Jesus. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was a different kind of vibe. It's not that kind of Messiah kind of thing. But and the people felt, I wouldn't say cultish, not a David Koresh kind of cult, more like a Dolores Cannon kind of cult. So more of a temple than a cult, I suppose. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're almost to the end there. You know, that's so interesting. That's interesting. How do you feel about this child being born? Like, you feel like it's good, or you just saw the information and you didn't have a feeling?
I felt that, he definitely felt more like Shiva, right? That kind of Shiva type of vibe that I suppose that Jesus kind of. Now, Shiva, as we know, he cut off the head of his child in a drunken kind of thing, but then he went and, replaced the head of his son, and then he drank poison. He drank poison to free the world, and took it inside himself. This is going to be a mixed bag. Okay. I was going to say, he's not going to appear to be perfect, but what he is coming to do is, I guess, drink the poison of the world, I guess, because he definitely felt more Shiva-esque than Messiah-esque.
Wow.
He felt important. I'll tell you that. He felt important.
That's very
because a lot of people are waiting for him.
Wow. I think I said this on the air. If I didn't, I was telling Angela, somebody, this really great account read the Antichrist as having all Aquarius in his sign. All Aquarius is his zodiac. Would this be this person? It can't be, right? Would it?
It does not feel like him. It does not feel like him. He definitely feels neutral in many ways. And neutral to me is good because neutral is the balance, right?
Right. We hope.
Neutral is the balance. He is coming in to bring, to balance the scales, to balance, because that's how he feels to me.
Good. Okay. All right. That's
good. I do not believe that he is the Antichrist because this temple of people are not dark.
Okay. Good. All right, dear. Anything else to close us out? I love all this.
My advice for singles or people in relationships or love, because of this new kind of algorithm frequency, jump on. This is a good year for relationships, for new ones, and for reforming old ones.
I just read the same thing, and yeah, all right. So anyways, we're on the same page with that. I'll let everyone wait and see what I came up with on that. So wonderful. Yeah. Almost exactly alike. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Serafina. Tell everyone where they can find you, follow you, listen to you, whatever's happening there.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, Serafina Blackman. All my socials is Serafina Blackman. Go and check it out. I have my link tree there. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, everybody. Thanks, Serafina. We'll be right back. Elizabeth Murden is here with me. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Karen?
Good. And two interesting things. First of all, your name Murden means what?
Well, from what I recall, back in the 80s when I first decided to change my name, Murden means Merlin. It's similar to Merlin in Welsh. And I was obsessed with the Arthurian legends at the time. And I loved the way it looked. And then I officially, legally changed it to that in the 2000s because I had to for work.
That is fantastic.
So
this was the first time we've had you on, right?
Yes, for prediction.
Yes, I said we. Like, who else am I talking to? Who else? It's just
the royal we.
Yes, and you said you got a whole bunch of stuff, so I am just going to say go and tell us what you got.
Okay. Well, a lot of the stuff that came in when I was asking my spirits, I said, what about, current events. And they waved me away and they said, no, there's more important stuff. And what happens will happen. And then when I asked again later, they just said, well, what do you want to happen? You're the creator. And so I wasn't getting much cooperation. I was getting a little bit of sternness from them. And the good thing is that a lot of these predictions have to do with the energy work community, the clairvoyants, the mediums. They were focusing on that, the big shifts that are coming, because we're the people that are pulling the rest of the world into the new. And so the spirits were focusing on those energetic patterns and predictions. And the first thing that it said is there's going to be a huge shift in like all the energy work communities toward creation. And that doesn't mean just creating art or creating a new job or anything. It's about little teeny tiny acts of creation as part of being a composer. Like think of composing music or composing a symphony. It's an energetic rearranging. We have to become composers of energy and not just, jumping off timelines onto new timelines. We need to we're on a timeline and we need to create little branches off of timelines. Anyway, so the things that they were saying were, instead of responding to situations, people are going to look at situations as an opportunity to create. Every little thing that people do is going to be an act of creation, especially in these energetic circles, because it's time. It's time to start pushing the creative energy. We need to become composers. We need to create energetic symphonies.
Great.
In everything we do. There is a big emphasis coming in on harmony, not just balance, but harmony. Once you balance your chakras or balance your traumas or balance your energies, where do you go from there? If you just stay balanced, it can become stasis or it can become a stalemate. From a state of balance, you need to create. And that's going to start happening. People are going to start looking into harmonies. What is a harmony? An example that they gave me was, if you are looking for a new job, you need to have your intuition functioning very actively and your sacral or your solar plexus. If you balance your energies, you bring all of that down to an equal level. But in order to move through the world and find your job or move or do whatever you have to do, certain centers need to be more activated. That's when you bring harmony in. What would be a harmonious blend to achieve this job I want, to achieve this work of art I want, to achieve this move across country? So there's a big emphasis coming on harmony. Sound healing is going to just increase in popularity. It's already really popular, but people are starting to look at sound healing as something more than just healing. It's creation. It's stimulating energetic rearrangements. So these are all things that are coming in, especially in the energy circles.
Great.
Feng Shui, rearranging things in your life on small bases is going to be similar to having big acts of creation. Instead of looking for like a huge life change, people are going to look to make little teeny tiny changes, sort of little baby steps, which all of those things announce to the universe, I'm ready for change. I'm ready for opportunity. There's a pivot away from making big dramatic shifts, like quitting a job and trying to start a new business or moving to Europe. There's going to be a pulling back of, I need the big move to understand that change has happened, to teeny tiny incremental moves, realizing the benefits of strategy. Because that's what we have to do going forward. There's a lot of challenges, as you know.
Yes, I taped mine before I taped everyone else's, and it's amazing how many of us are just hitting the same thing. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. The other thing that's coming up, and the big words that I kept hearing is energetic symphonies, energetic composing. We're composers. We're not We're not just responders. We're not just responding to challenges or responding to good news. We are, as Jessa says, meeting that moment, and then we're creating something new from every single moment. And these acts of becoming creators in every single part of our lives is what is going to continue to shift the energies of the world. And the bifurcations and the splitting that everyone is talking about is not so dramatic as one world stays in 3D and the other world is ascended. That can happen, yes, in some areas. But for the most part, it's about creating a branch off the main timeline through tiny little alterations. Then gradually that branch becomes its own timeline. It's about doing things gradually, because everything that's happening in the world is at 11, and it's reverberating through everyone. A lot of pain, a lot of trauma, a lot of, frustration and anger. And so there has to be a harmonious blend to balance that out. But once things are balanced, you have to go somewhere else with it. Otherwise, it just sits there.
Oh, I love that. Okay, we're almost to 7. What else?
Nostalgia loops are traps. They're energy traps. They want people to stop focusing so much on how, it's comfort food. Like, I watch shows over and over again, but be aware that you're trapping your energy. You're trapping your creative energy in old loops. So that was something they said. Nostalgia loops are traps. The body is a being. People need to look at their body as an intelligent being on its own, with its own agency and its own intelligence. That's going to happen more and more. You create a symbiotic relationship with the body in order to experience 3D reality. So the body, communicating with the body, being more aware of the body, separating yourself from mainstream ideas of nutrition and things like that, and following what your body is saying is going to get stronger for a lot of people, especially those of us that they're already sort of on those paths.
Yeah.
That's really important. Keep big plans secret as possible. It's very important, because when you start, especially keep it off of social media, because when you start announcing things like that, you're inviting cross currents of interference.
Oh, interesting.
So there's a big thing about, if you're thinking of moving and quitting your job or starting a new business, wait until all the pieces are in place before you do any announcing.
That is a great piece of advice.
Yeah, so and there's a move away. There's in literature and film and creativity in general, away from dystopian themes. People want beauty. People want to feed their lives with beauty and delight and harmony. And so this is something that is shifting energetically at first, and then it will eventually filter into the physical reality. But we all, as energy workers and mediums, can help that along by doing the same thing, by creating harmony from balance, and then creating something new from the harmony. Energetic composers is what we need to look at ourselves as. So those were the main things.
Excellent.
That I got.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I love that. Energetic composers. Elizabeth, tell everyone where they can find you.
Well, I do have a website. It's merdenesoteric.com. I am currently not doing really any bookings unless somebody emails me to set up something special, because I'm really busy and planning a move. So, so they can find the website. They can find me on Twitter. I'm Inky Heels on Twitter. I have a LinkedIn.
How about Instagram? Do you got an Instagram?
No, I don't do Instagram or TikTok because they give me headaches. It's just a lot of loud energy, and I tried. Yeah, I tried and I couldn't do it.
That's funny that you say that, because I do feel like Instagram. Last night I was just thinking Instagram is much more low key than TikTok. Not that I kind of like both of them, but I was like, wow, I was just thinking that same thing. Instagram is much more low key. And it's so funny because I think Twitter just feels like hate. Like so I guess we're all on a different frequency.
Well, I have a group. I follow Twitter for the occult, tarots, the spiritual stuff, and I almost never see any of that other stuff.
Okay.
Because it's a very limited group.
Very limited group. Wonderful. Well, awesome to have you. Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
Okay, you're welcome, and thank you.
Okay, everybody, here we go. I had taped these before everyone else's, and then I had something I really wanted to add, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to go through, and anything that has already been hit, I'll just rush through it real quick. But here is what I want you to know. This year, 2024, is about the gut and the teeth. Okay, those are the two things. Last year is about the nervous system. This year it is about your gut. And that is in the theoretic way, which is knowing your intuition, but also literally in the physical way, in that you might find yourself allergic to things you were not allergic to before, sensitive to things you weren't sensitive to before. That is how we are changing. Probiotics. Also, there is a great company I talk about all the time called Standard Process that sells a product called BioDent for your teeth. And yes, you can make your teeth better, but those are going to be the two things you want to watch. So, also on my Patreon, I have talked about how vertigo, so many of my clients have vertigo. What this is about, we talked to this, I think I talked to this with a couple of people in here. You are intuitively growing out of your body. I saw this woman say that perfectly. She said it on TikTok, exactly what I was thinking, which was your consciousness is outgrowing your body. So know that it's sort of your body readjusting, but this is happening a lot. Okay. Intimacy and vulnerability. These are, this is something you want to focus on because, and I'm only going to say this because everybody else said it, relationships are back. I think it was, I don't know who said it, but they were correct. No more twin flames. This is about real relationships. So intimacy and vulnerability is what this is about. And I don't mean just in relationships. I mean this all around. Authentic self. Do I really know this person? Does who at my office do I really talk to? Do I really trust? Who am I myself around? This is a big deal. And this lesson is the who I am. Now that you are finding who you are, it is time to show it to other people, or kind of not be embarrassed about it, not be a different person at work than you are at home, like putting it all together. And I'm just going to say this about relationships being back is it's not going to be this push and pull, men versus women or that kind of thing. I know women have been a little tired of men lately. It's going to be different. Everybody's coming around. In fact, I want you to watch for the boss doesn't like women, or that father, that narcissistic father that has old stereotypes. Watch for them to change this year. And it may be subtle, but watch for that one guy at work that you never thought would say, hey, I really think that was kind of sexist, or that's because men hate whatever. Watch for it. The switch has started. The white knuckling of hanging on to the old paradigm is gone, and they're starting to come over. And it's not like we're pushing or nagging. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm going to do some political ones here, and you're probably not going to like them. So Putin has already won the Ukraine war. You will see that become more and more apparent. That war should have never been going on. That was a big money grab. You'll see the acknowledgement that Putin has won that war. I already saw something on MSNBC where they were saying, well, we're changing what we mean by victory. And it was like, nah, even one of the guys had to say we lost it. Non-person players, the extras in your life will now be very easily identifiable. So you see those ladies on TikTok acting like non-person players, you're going to see them. They will be way more identifiable. You'll be like, is that guy walking down the street a person or not? I don't know. Cults and big militant Christian groups will be big. Okay? Watch for, especially there's, what they did with that pandemic where they made us all feel separate. That is the perfect fertilized ground for cults to grow, where people want that connection. And I'm going back to intimacy and vulnerability. I watched all these shows on cults, and you want to watch them thinking, I'm smarter than that. This wouldn't happen to me. And then you watch the people and you're like, it's not about smart or dumb. It is about wanting to connect and how they can manipulate. I do have a worry about big militant Christian groups. And when I say this, there's Christians that are great, and then there's the ones we all know over the top. And that's with every group, it's not Jewish people. Zionist Jewish people are very different than Jewish people. Militant anything. What do they call it? Far right, far left. Too far is too far. So watch for that this year. Argentina, there is something big in the news about Argentina, that there will be big changes there. And I don't know if that's a revolution or what, but Argentina kept coming up in my head. You need to hold on. What did I write here? Okay. This one's big. You need to learn to hear yourself and only yourself. We talked about this before, starting with spiritual leaders falling. They are still falling. Old rules don't fit. Okay, you could be a Buddhist and that's great. The game is now changed. We were playing checkers. We're now playing chess. You need to hear your own voice. And if you like a spiritual leader, don't like everything they do. You need to look at each thing individually. There is a particular spiritual leader out there that I know is guilty as anything. And everybody's like, nobody's handsome. Nobody, blah, blah, blah. He is as guilty as everyone else. And I mean this. This is how slick the trickery is now. So you don't need everything from one person. Everything this year is about layers. I agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't hate this person because I don't disagree with one thing. Layers. Ask yourself, does this part resonate with me? Does this part resonate with me? This picking a team, you're with us or against us, not going to serve you. Not going to serve you at all. So ask, you may hate Trump. Did he do something good? Okay, I can see why that worked. You may hate Biden. Okay, I can see why that worked. No more all in. And that is especially with spiritual leaders. Okay. And if your spiritual leaders are not telling you how dumb they are or how they can be an idiot or showing that shadow side, be very careful. Okay. There's going to be a lot of lies coming out. Again, uncovering these people, uncovering these things. Everything is in layers. This is a really interesting one. So this is about protecting your kids. Now, this isn't like they're going to get kidnapped or anything like that. But there's been this is really weird prediction. There's been this overprotection of kids that needs to turn into teaching kids to protect themselves. And I don't even know how this is such a weird one, but I give you what I got. So there was always this interesting, when I was growing up, I was always in sports. I did like 3 different sports, and it was not popular to be a girl in sports. I don't know if it is now. I think it is. But that time it was like, And there was this really interesting statistic that said women or girls that play sports have there's like a 90%, some really crazy amount chance that they will never be in a relationship with domestic violence. Like, it's almost like when you taught them the power of their body, that it really worked. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's an awareness of body and strength and decision. It is not hovering over them. It is not scaring them. A kid's karate class can teach them in a fun way of their boundaries. So whatever that was about, teach your kids to protect themselves more so than you hovering and protecting them. Next, watch your atheist friends become superstitious. Watch them not write off everything. Let me just leave that like that. Watch your atheist friends become superstitious. And it's almost like a step forward. Okay. Secrets and lies will be right in front of your face. You will, when someone is lying to you, it will be like you will hear that so clearly. I know that years ago, Jessa had talked about having discernment. Oh, don't worry, it's here now. You need to ask, do I need to address this or do I need to walk away? What do I need here? But it's going to be so apparent. A lot of seriously magical things are going to happen. And what I mean by that is say it out loud. And this is what I tell people. Don't say, I want to get out of this job. Say, I want a great new job to go to. Be very careful with your words. I think I said that somewhere in there also. Women of the Middle East, I think, are going to begin to change and make things shift. Like, remember the Iranian women that there's going to be a little more shift with the women. There's some sort of upheaval in China that will not take. So that's not going to work. Those of you that are stuck in jobs that you want to change, 2023 is at 8. Your job will change. Okay. This year is not as much about changing the job. The job will change. Your job will get more specific. You will move laterally instead of up and down. But these changes could be better. But your job will change. What you do now will change. Okay, so now this is a little bit darker, and you may not like this. You're welcome to leave the podcast now. But know that when things happen to the nation, it is our job to separate. People on all Instagram and stuff are saying you have to handle the war within so that to help the war without. So in other words, you got to be getting along inside yourself before you talk about Israel and Palestine. You got to get it right inside you. And not only is that true, but remember, a lot of it's like the news. Only watch the news if you can watch it as a spectator. Like, this movie's not that good. Don't watch it and get absorbed by it or emotionally into it, because I do believe, and you can yell at me if you want, but this is what I got. I do think we're going to have a big terrorist attack this year, or at least the enormous attempt, which will then be blamed on Iran. And this is to try and get Joe Biden reelected. All right. How's that for specific? I also think Trump will win. I'm not saying who I'm voting for because I like Kennedy, but I think this is a game. That part right there, that prediction right there could be really, we could jump timelines and it could all change. But I believe my friend Salo that was on is a little more worried about 2025. I'm quite not worried about, but watch it happen. And they're going to let it happen, or they're going to make sure it's big enough to scare you. Go watch that movie that Obama put out called Leave the World Behind. Go watch it. And what that is about, it is about the devil will tell you 10 truths to tell you one lie. And why would the Obamas make a movie like that? Because the biggest lie in the middle is when the guy says to Julia Roberts, the scariest thing is no one's in charge. There is no evil cabal. There was a whole movie made to terrify you, to bury that lie. And the people on TikTok went bananas. Anyways, go to my Patreon. If you join my Patreon, if you want to hear more about that, it's coming. I'm talking about that in January on my Patreon. But this year could have a lot of violence. This is not about your personal life. Don't let it be. Carry on the best you can. Love your neighbor. Turn the news off. All of that. This year is going to, let's say this part of the movie is going to be a wild ride. And I think it's going to be different. Where 2023 was more personally hard, this could be nationally hard. But I'm just going to say this one last thing. I'm leaving you guys on this grim note. So much of it is a lie. So live your life, be happy, and thank you for listening to the podcast. We'll see you in 2024.
Paranormal Karen, she's a spooky kind of queen. Paranormal Karen, she's an angel without wings. Comedian, ghost hunter, conscious exploring. She's a funny gal and a real woo pal. She's Paranormal Karen.